Good morning, everyone. Sound check, sound check. Can you hear me? If you can, please type into the chat box that you can hear me. Okay, very good. Another sound check is, can you all on your microphone and just say hi to me and to each other as well? Can you do that? So that I know I'm not alone. Hello.
Hi. Morning.
Hi.
Hey, morning,
Morning.
everyone. Good, good. Hey, today is a Friday, so Friday is the day to look out for, right? Every time we start the week, Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Victor, for turning on your webcam. Those of you who are more comfortable in turning on your webcam, please do so. I certainly welcome the interaction. Well, if you are shy, by all means, okay, I'm fine with that as well. Okay, I see a few familiar names here. So thank you so much again for coming back to the workshop. My name is Yuan, for those of you who don't know me. As you saw from the little preview blurb about myself before I came on, I'm a practicing career coach, right? And I've been doing coaching and career coaching for about 7 years now, 6 to 7 years. But I'm doing it on my own. In other words, I'm doing my own practice, okay? And oh, by the way, before I forget, I hope you are able to download or access the workbook. You see the link here. Let me paste the link again in the chat so that you all can download. I'm going to refer to this workbook throughout the whole session. So hopefully, we can work through all the elements in there as we go along. Is that okay? So please do open it up, right? And then later on, we're going to refer to the workbook occasionally. Okay, if you have any problems with the workbook, please do let me know. By the way, it's a Word document and parts of it are editable. Okay, the other parts are protected, but those that you need to edit or input are editable. Okay, right. Okay, so continue back with my own self-introduction. Okay, so I'm a practicing career coach and I've been doing it on my own for about 6 to 7 years now. But one of the things that I do really enjoy is really training others to become career coaches. Okay, I've been doing this since 2017, and since then until now, if I count this month's courses, I've actually conducted about 600, or rather 600 people have actually been trained or certified by me. Okay, in various programs. I train them in the WSG program. I also train them in an international program called the NCDA FCD course. Okay, and just to give you a lay of the land, so to speak, okay, as we go along, I'm going to slightly sometimes refer to my right hand side, which where all your pictures are, your voices would appear, but at the same time also the chat box is below me. All right, so as you see my face glance back and forth, please just apologize if you don't see the eye contact. Oh, by the way, hopefully you'll appreciate this particular bit as well, where I put myself into the presentation. Hopefully you can also feel more engaged with the whole process. If you notice in the speaker, if you're on speaker view, all right, in Zoom, where you see me, all right, and the slides. So that's another option for you, because I think some people have mentioned that sometimes Zoom is laggy when I share slides in this format. So if you feel that it's easier for you to follow by looking at my speaker view, by all means do that. So you have a couple of choices. Is that all right? Okay. If it's all right, please either, say yes, it's good, or thumbs up or whatever. I'd like to see some interaction here. Okay. Very good. Thank you so much. All right. Now, what is the purpose of today's workshop? Okay, you see the title here, Coaching Yourself to Career Success. Now, essentially this workshop, right, which is going to last until hopefully not more than 4:30, but I think you should be finished about 4. This workshop appeals to two types of person. Okay, so if you're one of those, right, the first type is someone who prefers to take charge, do things independently, okay, who wants to self-help. Okay, if that's you, wonderful. Okay, now along the way as we go through this program, the other type might appear, because you will probably get a taste and feel about what career coaching is all about. Okay, so for those of you who are harboring a thought, what is career coaching, or maybe you're just curious about the whole process, by going through this course, or rather this workshop, you get a sense of what we do as coaches with clients. But now here I'm transferring back to how you can help yourself. Okay, so if you've got any questions regarding coaching and all that, I'm happy to answer this towards the end of the workshop itself, towards the end of the day. All right. Okay. So essentially, this workshop appeals to those two groups of people. So I hope you are either one of them, because otherwise you'll probably be wasting your time coming here attending about 6 hours of hearing me talk. Okay. Right. So you've heard about me. So what I like to do is basically hear a little bit about you. Okay. So I'm going to pop up a survey, a poll, where I need you to help me understand a couple of aspects, whether you have been coached before, all right, and also your current status in terms of employment. All right. So please do help me with this, and then at least I get a sense of who you are. All right. So the poll is launched. So please do fill it up, and then later on we'll take a look at this. We currently have now about 37, 35 people. All right, so about 67 actually signed up as far as I was informed yesterday. So hopefully the rest will come in. But I think, thank you for those of you who came in on time and also punctual. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, so about half of you have filled up so far. So let's see what about the others. Okay, we're gonna keep this poll open for another minute or so to allow all of you to get the chance to fill it up and share your inputs. All right, almost 70% filled up already. So far, well, quite a few, almost half, actually half had been coached before. And the majority of you, almost 60% are currently unemployed. Okay, all right. Let's see if there's still anybody filling it up before I close the poll, another maybe 10 seconds or so. All right, I guess it's almost 80% people who have filled this up, so I think I can share the results so that we know who we are amongst, all right? Okay, all right, let's share the results. You all see the results, okay. So as you can see there, quite a few have actually been coached before, so it's a yes for 44%. Then the majority of you, about just under 60%, are currently unemployed. So thank you so much for sharing that information. So let me just close this. Okay, good. Okay, all right. So thank you. All right, so I'm going to gear my sort of session and the information sharing and the interactivity based on what I've seen just now. Okay, about just slightly under half has been coached, and also the fact that the majority of you are unemployed and I presume looking for a job. Okay, so the issues are there. So the next thing, I need you to, if you're comfortable writing it into the chat box, what is your current career issues that you are facing, so that if I can, during my discussion, I can sort of gear it towards what your issues might be. Can you type it into the chat box? If you're comfortable, tell us or tell me what your current issues are as far as careers is concerned. Okay, can't get a new job. Okay, I presume quite a few of you are in that boat. Okay, so I guess the rest of you are a bit reticent to fill this up. It's all right. Okay, let's see some. Should I set up my business or go back to the workforce, getting interviews? Okay, understand. So very specific, trying to switch to a new industry. So a career switcher. Okay. Anybody else would like to share? Took a break for 3 years, currently coming back to the job market. So switch career. Thank you, Jolene. All right. Little opportunities or responses. Okay, stagnant, cross point, considering trying new industries. Okay, good. Thank you so much again for sharing this. Okay, I know a lot of it is personal, right? But I think it's good to actually be able to enunciate what's bothering as far as your career is concerned. All right. So thank you. I'm going to try and answer as many of those as I can through the day itself. But again, there's an opportunity for us to again discuss further at the end of the whole workshop. Okay. Thank you again. So thank you again for sharing your career issues. I think, the whole purpose of career success is really to overcome the issues. Okay. And many of us, okay, do it in different ways. But essentially, you are either looking to yourself or you are seeking help from a third party, which will be a coach. Okay, but either methods, essentially the prime motivator here, okay, is actually yourself. Okay, you are the prime engine in order to drive you forward. Now, this may surprise some of you, especially those of you who have never been coached before. Right? Essentially, even if you are being coached by a third party, okay, the typical coaching relationship is that the coach will guide you, all right? But you have to be the one that motivates yourself to do it. The coach can prod you along, but the engine is from you, from within. Okay, so that is the key function for you as a person who's either being coached or who's wanting to find a way to get out, to overcome your career issue. Okay, all right. So this is what we're going to cover for today. All right, let me just appear here first. Okay, so we have all the way up to 4:30. Okay, but typically I try and finish about half an hour to 45 minutes before that ends so that we have time for Q&A. So I'm going to follow the same thing. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with doing a full day online workshop, so I'm going to have breaks in between. So the times you see that, the formal breaks could be about 10:30, 10:45. That's a formal one. Then the lunchtime break, usually I try and break it up just before 12 o'clock, okay? And then there's a mid-morning break as well, all right? So now, but I'm also going to give you small, how should I put it, intervals in between, maybe on an hourly basis. Maybe it's a 5-minute or a 10-minute interval break so that you can stretch your legs or you can go for your pee break and so on and so forth. Okay, so hopefully, for those of you who have something else organized, maybe during the break times, hopefully this gives you a good guidance. All right, now, so the topics are there, quite a bit to go through, but at the same time, it involves a lot of thinking on your part. Okay, it's about you reflecting, it's about you putting things down on paper. That's why the workbook is important for today. All right. Then as far as questions are concerned, now in those of you who've attended my 2-hour webinar, typically I leave the questions towards the end. I do not allow you all to unmute yourself until then. But however, because this is a full day session and there's a relatively fewer number of you here, right now we have about 40 people. Okay, so I'm going to give you the opportunity, the power to unmute yourself and ask questions using the microphone. Okay, so but please, if you are not going to ask questions, please don't mute it so that your background noise is not distracting the rest of the class. Okay, so that's the thing. Then if you are resilient enough to stay on until towards the end, okay, I will share with you some opportunities for us to engage further after the program itself, or at the same time, some insights as to what you can further do if you are going to pursue a career coaching profession. All right, so those of you only are interested in that. All right, so that is the process we have for today. So let me just come back. All right, so let's start with the definition. Okay, a series of definitions of what we all mean. All right, so as you can see here, I brought this page up again. All right, so we have career issues, which thank you so much to those of you who have shared with me. All right, we have self-coaching, we have career success. Okay, what I want to sort of make sure we all are on the same page first. So let's talk about coaching. Now, many of you have gone through coaching. So what do you think coaching is all about? Perhaps you can start by typing into the chat box. If you've gone through coaching, what is your version of coaching? What do you think coaching is all about? Even for those of you who have not been through a coaching process, okay, what do you think coaching is all about? Can you type it into the chat box? Okay, let me just pull this up. Okay, it's a soundboard to give you a different perspective, guidance. Thank you, Kian Hong. Any others? Views about what coaching is? guiding you, charting your direction. Thank you. Inspire, motivate. All right. What else is there? What else do you think it is? Mentoring. Okay, interesting. Mentoring. Mentoring could be seen as a type of coaching because you use very similar principles. Huh? Any other thoughts about what coaching is? Or what do you think it should be? What do you think it should be? Development. I like the word development, Karen. Thank you. I think that's a very important part. Help to focus your mind on issues, challenges we need to overcome. Yep. Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you so much for sharing with me your interpretation of coaching. Okay. Now, as a career coach, okay, all right. First of all, there are a lot of different ways of coaching. It all depends on the organization you go to. Okay. Some coaching styles tend to be very hands-on, very how should I put it? Tell you step by step. Okay, which is good, right? And it especially fits for people who prefer a lot of guidance. However, for me, because when I train people to become coaches, the key thing I always tell coaches, all right, yes, you can do that. You can guide them through the steps. But essentially, in order to help your client as a career coach, it is a very developmental process. Okay, developmental process. Obviously, you have to interact with people. Okay, but the focus of the interaction is to develop their personal capabilities. So if you look at this, the developmental part, the word develop is there twice already, okay? So essentially, as far as coaching is concerned, you're helping the other party to learn. That is the prime coaching principle. You're helping the other party to learn rather than teaching or telling them what to do. Okay, obviously in the process of guidance, if let's say the client or the job seeker is not, have information gaps, then obviously we have to provide that information itself. But essentially the process is helping you as a job seeker or as a client, a coaching client, to learn, okay, to learn how to go about achieving what you want to achieve. All right, so that's the coaching in its purest form. So let's talk about self-coaching now. Okay, self-coaching, borrowing on what that definition is on coaching. So essentially coaching, self-coaching, in other words, what can you do with yourself, all right, is when you cultivate your own personal development, all right? And how do you do this? You do this by assessing your, what do you think? Your, okay, the word would be inner wisdom, okay? Inner wisdom. In other words, a lot of times when I coach my clients, right, you may find it surprising or interesting. A lot of times you know the answer. You know the answer. You just need someone to help you bring the answer out of you. Okay? So in self-coaching, that's especially more important because you're tapping on your inner wisdom, your inner self to try and find out what's best for you, okay? And what works for you in terms of, in this case, careers. Okay, so this is self-coaching. Now, then the question we want to ask ourselves here is this: why do you want to learn how to self-coach? Why do you want to learn how to self-coach? Can you help me? Type into the chat box again. Why are you here to today's workshop to learn to self-coach? Can you just type into the chat box? What is it? What are you trying to get out of today's session by learning about self-coaching? Anyone? What is it about self-coaching that you're trying to get? Help me type into the chat box and so that I can understand where you're coming from. Self-improvement, development. Thanks, Kian Hong. Any other thoughts? Why are you here today? Why are you here today? Because this topic is very specific. It's about how you can help yourself. Okay, long-term success. Very good, Shipei. Resilience, building confidence. Thank you so much. To reach a career goal we want to achieve. Okay, Desmond. Right? Various ways to do it, right? So I guess, you want to see how you can do it yourself. Karen wanting to motivate yourself. Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this. I think all the words that you have described here, all right, essentially is about control. Am I right to say that? Right? It's about being in control of what you do or what you can do. So self-motivation now, trying to reach a goal that we want to achieve, building confidence is all about control, about yourself. Okay. Right. So one of my mottos whenever I do workshops or help my clients is that you need to take charge of your career or take control of your career, because no one else will do it for you. Long gone are the days where we can confidently rely on companies or organizations to regularly promote us based on performance, or regularly bring us to courses to upgrade ourselves, right? Gone. Those days are gone. Maybe there are still some companies who do that, but the majority of companies don't do that anymore. Okay, so it is up to us to take charge, take control of our careers, of what we want to do. Right? So self-coaching will help you achieve that. So for today, essentially, okay, because there's so many possible career issues, I think, looking at what you put into the chat box a few minutes ago has already told me, you're coming from a lot of different angles. So there's no way, in this group setting, I can talk about all the different angles that you're coming from, all right? But what I can do for today is at the end of this session, hopefully, that you have a framework that you can work on, a framework that you can see, yes, I see what are the things, the possibilities, the options, the alternatives, the ways, the methodologies I have in front of me in order to overcome the issues so that I can move towards career success. All right. So is that okay? So I'm going to talk about, the basic generic approach to helping you overcome your career issues. Is that all right? Okay, if it's okay, again, yes or thumbs up so that I know that we are on the same page here. Are we okay? All right, good. Thank you so much. There's some lag in the Zoom. So I know you're typing quite a few things, but it's like a couple of seconds later, then I see the responses. Thank you so much for that. Okay, good. All right, so that's the definition. So let's talk about state of mind right now. Okay, the state of mind. Now, I want you all to understand this particular principle here. Before we embark on making or deciding on what we want to do for the future, or even thinking about making a change to what we currently do, the best way to start this is really to make sure that we are calm and collected and no emotions that's happening inside us. Okay, and this is the same frame of mind you should have whenever you engage with your own coach, for those of you who have been through coaching. Okay, because at the end of the day, if your mind is in turmoil, if you are in a very emotional state, okay, the decisions you make, the way you look at things is very, very colored. Okay, so you can't make good decisions. Okay, so if you are feeling in that way whenever you are looking for self-coaching, or whether you are approaching another person to coach you, please take a step back. All right, before you do that, calm yourself. Now, I'm not a yogi. I don't know all the different mental what do you call it, meditation process. Everybody has their own style. Okay, so like this guy here, maybe he just needs to look at something that's open space, right? A scenery. Or some of you may achieve calmness by looking at pictures of your loved ones, or maybe even just playing with your children if you have children. Okay, so everybody has a different way of achieving that state of mind. So this is my first tip to you. Okay, make sure that you are in the right state of mind before you actually embark on this, not only this process of self-coaching, but being coached by others. Okay, so that's the first part. Are we okay with this? Okay, hopefully we are, because this is a very important and fundamental process before we start the whole coaching process, self-coaching or otherwise. Okay, thank you. All right, so, oops, sorry, press the wrong button. Now, the other thing I need us, or rather I need you to ask yourself is basically 3 sets of questions. Okay, so this is probably the first interactivity I am requesting from you. Okay, so let me pull up the, let me pull up the, oh, where is this? Okay, this part here, this is your document, your workbook. Okay, so in the workbook, if you turn to the page, what's the page number? Page 5, okay? You will see a blank page that says my issues, my career issues, my reframe. You can write it there, or you can actually do it on the first part here, all right? Which is on page 3. Okay, I leave it up to you, because later on we'll come to page 5, so maybe you can start from there as well. So on page 3 is your career issues, and this one, page 4, okay? 3 questions I want you to ask yourself. 3 questions I want you to ask yourself. First one, why do I need to succeed? Be very clear, be very frank about yourself. Why do I need to succeed? Okay. Be very frank with yourself. Okay. If you want, you can type it in now. Later on, I'm going to give you maybe about 5 minutes to do that. Okay. Right. So the other thing you need to ask yourself is this: who am I doing this for? Is it for your family? Is it for your spouse? Is it for yourself? Which is fine. If you're doing it for yourself, that's fine as well. But put it down, okay? Put it in front of you so that you are very clear who you are doing this for. Then the next thing, which I hope none of you neglect, who can you look to for support? Okay, again, it could be family, it could be close friends, it could be a coach, it could be a mentor. All right? So can I ask you, maybe take the next 5 minutes or so, write down all these 3 points, okay? Because these 3 questions, or rather the answers to these 3 questions are your guiding light, your North Star, like what the picture here suggests, your North Star as to why you are embarking on this journey. Okay, so I'm going to give you 3 minutes so that you can, 5 minutes so that you can actually write this down, and then we'll come back to the whole presentation itself again. All right, I see you in a while. Okay, welcome back. Has anybody got any questions or problems putting down their thoughts answering these 3 questions? Anyone, feel free to ask, because that's what we are trying to do for today. Everyone is okay with this? I presume so, since nobody is asking any questions. Okay, that's fine. Let's move on. Okay. All right. All right, so let's move on to the first part of the framework that I'm going to talk to you about. Okay, what is this framework? Essentially, okay, this framework made up of the few letters you see there, and it just so happens to form this word create, which I think is pretty apt, all right? It sort of reflects what we're trying to do, create a new forward future, right? So that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so let's start with the first 2 letters first, which is C and R, okay? Current reality. So under this portion, which I want to discuss for the remainder of this morning, okay? The rest of the afternoon, we'll talk about the other letters. So for this morning, what are the components we want to talk about as far as C and R is concerned? What is the current reality? So the first thing we need to deal with is, what is your current situation? What is your current situation? Okay. Then obviously we need to see what sort of perspective you have with regards to what's happening to you now. Okay, because that's very, very important. Okay. Then obviously we need to go through the process of understanding and knowing yourself as much as you can, know what makes you tick, right? And then we need to know what's happening out there in the world of work. All right, so these are the few things that we're going to talk about for this morning. Right, now the other thing I need us to understand here is this: we have all gone through the last couple of years, or just over 2 years, a very critical stage, not only in world history, but in our own personal history, right? And in our work life as well. So the pandemic has changed a lot of things for us, for everyone, in fact. So as far as how we view work, and this survey was done by Gartner, I think just recently. So let me just highlight this to you. Essentially, if you look down the survey, okay, you just look at the orange box here, okay, all the orange boxes here. You will notice that, there's been a change in the way we look at work in various angles. So for example, attitude towards value of work, aspects outside of work, okay, has increased, made me rethink the place that work should have in my life, made me long for a bigger change in my life, changed my perspective on the desirability of workplace location, made me want to contribute more to society, made me question the purpose of my day-to-day job, changed my expectations towards my employer. Okay, so this is the context that we are in now. I'm pretty sure all, if not most of you, are probably thinking in those terms as well. Right? So again, I need you to frame what the current reality is by recognizing how the last 2 years has impacted the way we view ourselves and the world of work. Okay, so in doing that, okay, we need to consider the few things here. Thank you, MJ, for spotting the spelling mistake. Yes, you're right. It's reality. Okay. All right. I'm going to fire the staff who did this. Sorry about that. Okay. So the thing here is this, right? We need, when we are looking at our current reality, okay, we need to be factual. We need to be as objective as possible. And we need to be positive. Okay. So bear in mind these three items. Okay. Now, I want you to start thinking about what is your current situation now. What is your current situation? What are you going through? Okay. Later on, I'm going to ask you to put it down in words, but at the very minimum, I need you to start thinking about what your current situation is right now. Okay. So for example, if you are thinking in this terms, like what this lady is doing, okay, if she already is working, I think about 40% of you are are employed, okay, I'm stuck in this job. No one sees me as ready for growth. I want to move on, but nobody is going to promote me. If you are thinking something similar, or if you are thinking in a very, essentially this is a very negative way of thinking, right? Can I urge that you change your perspective? Okay, change the way we look at things, because there's no point starting from a negative point of view. Right? It's a little bit like what I was mentioning about your state of mind. Okay, it's very similar, because even though if your state of mind is calm, and then suddenly you look at your current situation in a very negative terms, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Right? You are going to tell yourself negative things. Right? Oh no lah, I cannot do this lah. No lah, I've never got any help. What am I going to do? Right? So negative self-talk, and that is a very big barrier. Okay. The other thing you might end up having is you feel that you can't do this, you can't do that, right? Or it's not possible to do it. Okay. Then ultimately, a combination of this will not make you happy, right? Not make you happy, and sometimes it may not give you the optimism that you need in order to look further ahead from what you are doing now. Okay, and because of all this, you may feel that you are not getting anywhere. You're not getting ahead at all. All right. So instead of what that lady is thinking of, she's stuck. Nobody wants to promote her and all. Okay, maybe we can think about it in this way. I've been in this role for 3 years. I'm ready to expand my skills. So the follow-on question from her would be, what can I do in order to expand my skills? Okay. Hopefully you get where I'm coming from, because I think this is, again, another very important aspect. All right. So here it's all about turning maybe your view of the negative parts and try and flip it into something that is more positive. Okay. Now, for those of you who have gone through NLP, linguistic programming course, or maybe some of you may be NLP practitioners, this is a very common tool. All right. So I'm not going to go through what all these are, because I think there's quite a lot of stuff here, and I'm not an expert in this. But I think I want to borrow two definitions of reframing that I think is very, very useful to all of us. Okay, so one is context, the other one is content. Okay, so what do we mean by context? Context reframing. So essentially, it's trying to find a way to represent a negative event or behavior in such a way that it will have positive value. Right? And in content, what do we mean by content? Okay? Finding a way to make an event or behavior be represented in a way that would have value. Now, maybe some of you may think, hey, actually, it's the same thing, right? There's a lot of overlap because some of the keywords are the same, but the emphasis is actually quite different. So let me give you an example here. Okay, so the context reframing here, right? Instead of, I've been retrenched, I don't know how I can cope. What about, I've got an opportunity to start afresh and do what I've always wanted. Okay, so that's reframing your context. Now, what about the content? Instead of saying, I'm useless, I can't find a job. Okay, maybe look at it, the right job is out there. I just need to know where to look. Okay, so hopefully you all get this thought in your head on how you can reframe your current situation so that you are looking at it in a different light, so that you are able to actually start the process of moving forward. Okay, so again, maybe now, okay, it's 10:15, so I think we can take a formal mid-morning coffee break ahead of time. So I want you to, first of all, refer to your handbook again, your workbook. So if you look at further page down here, okay, so on page 5, all right, on page 5, you will see this space here, 2 columns, right? One that says issues, one that says reframe. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, maybe for the next 15 minutes or so, okay, you can take your break at the same time, is to start writing down what your current issue is, or issues are, okay, and see if you need to reframe this in the way that I've suggested, either in context or in content. All right, so then, then we can have a better frame of mind to move forward to the next step itself. Okay, is that all right? Is that all right? Okay, so I'm going to combine this with a break, a coffee break, a mid-morning coffee break. Okay, so take this time, this opportunity to write this. Normally, in a live workshop, I will actually break you all off into groups so that you all can share with each other. But I think in a setting like this, and perhaps some of you are very personal, you don't want to be too open because you don't know the other people. All right, it's fine. So we do it as an individual exercise here, right? So let's spend the 15 minutes here, and then when we come back, right, after the coffee break, we can continue with the next part of it. Okay? Okay, Linda, I think you got a question. If you live in town, do you mind go to Joo Koon to work? Again, is that a question to us or is it a question to yourself? But in any case, I think, it's a question it's a real question. Ask yourself that. Okay? All right. So 15 minutes, take the time, have your coffee break, mid-morning coffee break, and also take a look at how you can reframe what you're going through right now. And then we'll come back in a while. Okay? I see you later. Okay, welcome back. Hope you had a good coffee break, and also during that time, you did have a chance to do the exercise that we were talking about. My apologies for switching the slides during the break because a couple of you wanted to take some pictures of the previous slides, but hopefully that didn't distract you for too much. Okay, so hopefully all of you had a chance to write down what your reframe is. Maybe just for me to get a sense of this, whether you're on the right track. And those of you who are comfortable, can you just type into the chat box some examples of your reframe so that I can see that we are on the right track? Is that okay? Can you just type into the chat box? You are comfortable? What is an example of the reframe that you have just written, if you can? All right. If you're not too shy about it, because I think it's always useful to have some feedback. Okay, so hopefully, talk about, whether the job is out there, you just need some guidance, right? Or whether, talking about new opportunities instead of focusing on what's in the past. Wait, so it looks like everybody's a bit shy. Okay, never mind. Don't worry about this. I think this is something that I think you need to do yourself. And one of the things that's probably going to be very, very useful for you when you do this particular exercise is actually bounce it off someone, okay? Someone that you trust, someone that you value their judgment on, okay? So that's the key thing. And then let them understand what's going on with you. Oh, thank you so much, Ting Ting. Let me just, maybe I just put this down. Okay. All right. Okay. Right. Exercise to become a new guru. I mean, new exercise guru. Yeah, why not? Cannot get interviews, the right interviews out there, just need to reposition. Exactly. WGR, thank you so much. Ting Ting, yeah, I think it's a good point. All right, you can turn something negative and say that's an opportunity for you to do something different and maybe possibly use that as a career. Yes, the right frame of mind. Okay, finding a job that I'm passionate about to avoid burnout in the short term. Okay, Christine, maybe instead of saying I'm choosy, I'm saying I'm very specific about what I want. Okay, choosy, sometimes people think it's a very negative word, right? But if you tell yourself I'm very specific about what I want, okay, so I want to make sure that I find the right job. Okay, so that's another way to look at it, huh, Christine? Okay, good. Thank you so much for those of you who shared with me. Okay, an opportunity to rediscover myself and find something I enjoy doing or passionate about. Excellent, Paul. I think that's a good way to look at it. I personally have been retrenched before, okay? And honestly, I found that it was such an enlightening period for me because number one, obviously it allowed me to take a break because I've been working continuous for X number of years before that. And that was the first time I could take a break, but also because it also gave me time to reflect on what I really wanted to do. Okay. So, maybe it's the same thing for you, right? Maybe you have the same opportunity as well. Okay. Like what Paul is saying here as well. All right, good. Thank you so much to those of you who have shared. I think it's really much appreciated. All right, so for the rest of this morning, I'm going to need to discuss these couple of aspects. Those of you who have joined my other workshops before, this will probably be quite familiar and familiar to you. So, you can, it's up to you whether you want to join in the exercises or not, or you can just go through it again and maybe something new will come out as well. Okay, so essentially, I'm going to go through 2 points. Now, let's talk about the first one first, which is knowing yourself. Okay, so I'm going to focus on 2 particular activities for all of you. Again, it's in the workbook, all right, so we can refer to it. But let's say how we can go about finding out more about ourselves using these 2 frameworks. Okay, so let me just put myself outside first. Okay, so if you go to your workbook on page 6, which is the next one, okay, this activity is called meaningful experiences. All right, so essentially what this activity is trying to get you to realize is what's important to you. Oh, hi, Sharon, I think maybe I mute you, okay, all right. So the whole activity, the purpose of this activity is to make sure, or rather to enable you to find out what is important to you as far as your job or your career is concerned. Okay, so you can see 4 columns there. All right, so essentially what the activity is all about here is this. Okay, you pick 3 current or past job activities. Okay, past jobs or careers, at least 3. Okay, if you have more, by all means, put down more. The reason why I say it's 3 is because you'll see it later on. We're trying to spot a pattern for you, or rather, you are trying to spot a pattern. Okay, so when you're listing down these jobs or activities, and for those of you, if you are just out of school, for example, you can actually also consider maybe your CCA or things that you've done outside of work. By the way, even those of you who have long work experience, if you want to include things that you enjoy doing or you have done outside of work, which is significant for you, put it down as well. Okay, so describe at least 3 past or current job or activities. So in those jobs or activities or careers, write down what you like and what you didn't like from those things. Okay, so that's in the last two columns itself. All right, you see here, the last two columns. Okay, so again, similarly in the worksheet, all right, you take a look at this. Let me just pull this up again. All right, so you see in the last two columns, all right, what you like and what you dislike. Okay, these are activities related to job, meaning, you know, what, just a brief description on what you did in those roles, right? And then you fill it up there. Okay, so again, like I said, the whole purpose of this is to spot patterns or spot a trend, something that is similar, and then so it gives you an idea. Say, oh yes, I think this is what I, you know, looking back on all these activities is what I think I want to do. So why don't you give it a try? Okay, give it a try. I think maybe I'll give you 5 minutes to write this down. Right, just try one first, because this one I think probably many of you will need more time to run through this, perhaps half an hour or so, but we don't have half an hour here, right? Not yet anyway. So I want you to give it a try. Maybe I'll give you 5 minutes again, and then you take a look at this, and then, you know, later on after the session, you can work on this some more. Huh? All right, so 5 minutes on this. Okay. All right, I hope you all had a chance to give it a try, at least doing one line, okay, about what you like and dislike about your current or past job. Okay, now I saw a couple of questions from the floor about my own personal thought process. So maybe at this point I can share what I went through, right? So when I did this exercise about 7-8 years ago, right, I sort of put down all the lists of my jobs. I think by that time I had quite a few different types of jobs, right? I was in the last few years, I was looking after a particular business unit. I startups. I was a GM. All right. I was also in sales. I was in marketing. You know, so many different varied roles. And from somebody from the outside, you would think that there's nothing in common. But when you sit down, or rather, when I sat down and analyzed all the things that I went through, I realized the common themes. What were the common themes? Okay, the things that I liked most about the things that I did. Okay, the themes were that I enjoyed working with people. I enjoyed helping people talk about and perhaps even guiding them on what their next steps were. Okay, and this was largely done with my peers, my my people who reported to me in my team, or sometimes people from outside my team, because that happened quite often. And I think one of the reasons why they approached me was because, again, based on my own experiences in being able to change careers successfully. So I found myself advising a lot of people in this respect, and I enjoyed it. Okay, and in fact, one of my last jobs before embarking on this journey as a career coach, I actually had the opportunity to work with relatively young people. When I say young people, it's between 25 to 30. Okay, I'm not that young, so 25 to 30 is considered young for me. Yeah? So and talking to them about, you know, how what do they need to do to change careers, what do they need to do to take first step. So I enjoyed a lot about that. Okay, now what did I not enjoy about my past jobs? Okay, I'm not a number chaser. Okay, although, you know, some people say I was good at it, but I hated it. It gave me too much stress. Okay, I don't like politics. I don't like having to deal with people who have their own agenda, hidden or otherwise. Okay, so, you know, all those things come up, and I guess because of this, I found myself looking at careers or jobs that actually allowed me to exercise what I like most and minimize what I don't like to do. Okay, so that's how I made my decision. So, and through further experiments and looking out, which I'll describe later to you, okay, I found that what I'm doing now is really what I want to do. Okay, especially now I'm almost 60, yeah. So it's like, you know, it's something I think I can continuously do for until I conquer fly. Okay, so Ting, I hope I sort of answered your questions, at least the first part of it. All right, so later on, you know, if you got some more, I can try and answer that as well. Okay, so all right, so coming back to this particular exercise, you know, anybody got any questions about this particular exercise now? Anything you're not sure or anything you're reserved about, please feel free to ask. We are here, you know, I'm trying to work with you to sort of fine-tune your own skills in terms of how you manage your own self-coaching process. Okay, so by all means, please do so if you've got any questions. Okay, I'm looking down at the chat box, by the way, so I don't see any other questions or comments. So I guess it's okay. All right. So if that's the case, then maybe I will move on to the next portion. So this particular exercise, meaningful experience, is about getting you to understand and find out what is important to you. And once you know what is important to you, it should help you decide, or at least, narrow down on what type of jobs you think suits you better for the next run. Okay, so that's the purpose. So the next exercise here is really about trying to get you to identify, what experiences and skills you have that makes you a problem solver. Now, those of you who've been to my past workshop, you know that I'm so big on this particular term called problem solving. All right. So why is this important? What do you guys think? I'm going to throw it open to the floor. Why do you think it's important to know what problems you can solve in your career or job? Can you type into the chat box? Why do you think it's important for you to know what problems you can solve when you're talking about your career or your job? Anybody want to give it a try and type your thoughts into the chat box? Show a value add. WGL said show a value add. Anything else? That's a good point, WGL. Think about this. What would you be able to do once you know what are the problems you solve? What are the problems you solve? Help the company. Exactly, WGL. You're on the right track here. Thank you so much for sharing your inputs. Exactly. All right. Things can improve, Wendy. All right. So once you know what problems you solve, okay, and if you're able to put that picture together clearly and communicate it clearly, it becomes such a powerful weapon for you to reach out to companies who value your skills and experience. Okay, once you are able to clearly say, hey, Mr. Company A, B, or C, I can help you with this problem you have. Can you imagine how powerful that is? You yourself, if you are hiring someone and that person comes to you and say, hey, that person tells you, what, Mr. WGL, I can help you with your problem. And this is how I'm going to do it. Can you imagine how powerful this is if a company hears you say that when you're talking to them or when you're presenting to them your own skills and experience? So it's no longer just about telling them blankly your skills, your experience, because at the end of the day, you don't want to risk the chance that they make the leap and think, okay, you tell me you're good in accounting, you tell me you're good in project management, then they have to make the leap to say, okay, those skills you have, how is it going to help me? All right. Instead of having them to make the effort to bridge that gap, you bridge that gap for them. You tell them, yes, I can help you with this by doing this. I hope you see the power in this. I hope you see that, this is such a fantastic way to actually get you in the good books of people who are valuing you and looking for skill sets that you have. Okay. So how do we do this? How do we do this? Okay. So I'm going to give you some examples here. Again, those of you who have gone through my workshop, you've seen this. So bear with me. This is mainly for those who are new to me. Okay. Essentially, if I look at these two examples, okay, these two columns, problems I solve, how I do it, or in other words, what features I have. Okay. So I will solve your high staff turnover. Oh, wow, fantastic. How do I do this? I have extensive people management experience and a successful track record of building effective teams. Okay, good. Very clear, right? So you're telling someone, what type of problem you can help them solve and how you do it. Okay. Another example, I help you to expand your brand presence internationally with a lower marketing budget. Wow. In my previous roles, I leverage on non-traditional marketing strategies which have greater ROIs and impactful results. Okay. Another example, I will increase the quality of your student intake, or you could substitute as a quality of your clients or customers. How do I do this? In my past roles, I moved the customer base to a higher level by recrafting outreach messages and targeting the right segments. Okay, so hopefully it becomes a little bit clearer now for you, okay, how you can actually craft these messages, positioning yourself as a problem solver so that whoever you're talking to sees the value in you immediately, instead of having to think how you can help them. You tell them how you can help them. Okay, all right. So in your worksheet again, okay, let me just bring up the worksheet again. If you look at below, all right, so here it is. There's this column here on page 8. Okay, there's 3 columns here. Let me just run through with you what these columns are so that you have a chance to do this. Okay, so there are 3 columns here. All right, 3 columns here. My skills, problems I solve, how I solve the problem. Okay, very good question from Kok Hui So. How do you know what problems the hiring manager has? The problem stated publicly might not be what the hiring manager has issues with. Very good question, Kok Hui So. I don't know which is your surname, so I got to say the full name. Now, this is the first part. So this first part is knowing yourself, right? So you need to know yourself, what you can do first. Later on, when we talk about the company, that is where you need to find out what problems the company has. And I'm going to give you a way to actually find that out. Is that okay, Kok Hui So? All right, so just hold on to that. Okay, some people still don't have the link to the worksheet. He probably came in late. Okay, Kok Hui, thank you so much, Kok Hui. Okay, the link to the worksheet is inside the chat box. Okay, so I guess this is for the latecomers. Goes to show, shouldn't come late to my workshop. All right, okay, so let's use this as an example now. Okay, first of all, obviously, the easiest starting point here is for you to know what your skill sets are. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. So again, people and team management. Maybe those of you who have this skill set, you can put this down. Okay, I have skills and people and team management. So those of you who have this, what problems do you think you can solve if you have good people and team management skills or experiences even? Okay, can you type in the chat box? What do you think, what are the problems you can solve if you have very good or strong people and team management skills? Anyone? You type into the chat box. Put your thinking cap on, because this is a motivator. Good. Kian Hong? Any others? Is that a problem? Did it solve the problem? Motivator is not a problem, right? Motivator is how you do it. So what is the problem? Paul, resolve conflicts. Good. Any others? You're on the right track, Paul. Okay, thank you for that. Any other people can think of problems you can solve when you have people and team management skills? Productivity, okay, maybe productivity issues, reduce turnover, okay, negotiation, okay, what is the issue that you're negotiating over? Okay, Shupei, right? So think about the problems rather than the process that you're going through. Think about the problems. Okay, Paul, again, another good example, high turnover. High turnover is a problem. Okay, all right, so let's think about this. Okay, so an example could be like what some of you said, minimize or solve high staff turnover. Okay, employee performance is also another one. All right, so remember, you zoom down on the problem. You have the skills, you zoom down the problem you can solve. The next part is how you solve the problem. So I think a couple of you have put in some keywords which are actually the process that involve. There you go. Okay, so can you see the flow now? All right, so you have the skill set. Okay, then you identify, okay, with that skill, I can solve this problem. Then the next one is, how do you solve this problem? Building effective team environment, focusing on individual strengths, and get them motivated in a common direction. Okay, so again, I need you to distinguish between problems and the process to solve the problems. Okay, because once you know the problem you solve, you can take that knowledge, right, the problem that you can solve, and actually then go out and look for companies which has those problems, which I'll talk about later on in the afternoon. Is that all right? Okay, so you get that understanding here. So again, now the other thing I want to highlight here is that people and team management, this example, people and team management, you can solve more than one problem, right? So instead of just minimizing a high staff turnover, it could be other problems as well. Conflict, right? Could be a conflict issue, conflict resolution, right? So sometimes certain skills can lead you to being able to solve multiple problems. So don't be shy in putting that down. Okay. So again, I want you to give it a try. Do at least one. Okay. How many you need to put down? My suggestion here is don't put down more than maybe 4 or 5. That's if you go beyond 5 problems you can solve. Okay, maybe on the one hand it gives you versatility, but on the other hand it sort of puts you too wide. You don't have a specific angle which you can identify your own personal brand. Okay, so let's give it a try. Spend another 5 minutes on this, on how you can solve your problem. Okay, rather the skills and what problems you solve and how you can solve the problem using the worksheet that you have. Is that all right? Okay, so let's take another 5 minutes and then we come back and run through everything else. Okay, I see you in a bit. Okay, how was it? Did you manage to craft at least one sentence to tell you what problem you solve? I hope y'all tried it and did something about it, huh? Because if you don't take action, you're going to stay where you are. Okay, so the whole purpose is to take action. Okay, now I'm actually debating whether I should break you up into groups, given that we have the whole day, and also the fact that many of you come to such sessions is to want to network and talk to each other. Okay, so what I think is useful for you now, because those of you who have done this, right, trying to identify what problems you solve, the next step is really to say it out, okay? So what I'd like for you to attempt to do right now. Oh, Christine, you've got a question, Christine, or you're just, yes, Christine.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
I saw myself as an investigator, that
Okay.
I can only see the problem only when I go into the company as an accountant, and
Okay.
I actually solve the problem for them, because a lot of time the company don't even see their own problems. So how do I share my skill, because I cannot say that I'm an investigator? Because for
Why can't you?
example,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm actually help company to minimize cost or maximize return. So looking at this is that where in the past, when I in a company, they actually have a huge tax losses. So because of restructure, and I actually work with tax consultant and work with HQ, saying that you can actually claim shareholder tax waiver tax in this case, then you can utilize prior tax losses. So this, I done this activity for a few companies. Some actually help them to look into how to claim, because the company had changed their structure from in the past is a merchant bank and become a fund management company. So actually they crystallize the losses, and also in the term of like claiming back the tax treaty. So that's how it is. But then this is a problem that you don't see until you go in. So that's why I say it's as an investigator, you see.
No, Christine, you already mentioned a problem that you can solve already, which is what? Minimize cost, is it? Minimize cost, maximize turnover.
Yeah, but you don't see the skill. How do I share my skill to say that I'm project management or what?
Exactly the way you described just now already. Okay, so under the skills here is probably, I don't know, what skills do you use in order to solve those problems? Can you think? What is within your background that enables you to minimize cost and high turnover?
Is the experience actually, is a lot of time actually is based on my experience that I see it through.
Okay, so maybe I suggest something, Christine, you see if you can agree or not. Maybe you can put down one of your skills is either very strong investigative or auditing skills. Maybe that could be it. Okay, then once you put down problems, then things like minimizing costs and I help companies to minimize costs and maximize high turnover. Maximize turnover, which is sales turnover. So that's a problem you can solve. Then how you solve it is precisely what you just described to us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay. But that's a good question, Christine. Thank you so much for bringing. So, but I think the thing here for every one of us is really to make sure we can, I won't say compartmentalize, but I think it's important for us to differentiate what we have, how we help other people, or rather what can we do to help other people. So using what skills we have, what experiences we have to help other people, and how we do it. These are the 3 boxes that you see here in front of you that you need to be very clear about. Okay, because once you identify this, for example, if you know what skills you have, which I think is the easiest part for all of us, okay, you know what your skills are, okay, and most people stop there. What I'm asking you to do is go beyond just talking about your skills. You have to go beyond this and tell people, how do I use my skills to help other people? Okay, please think of this in that frame. No longer is sufficient to just talk about your skills. You have to talk about how you use your skills to help other people. Okay, so that's where identifying the problems come in and how you solve it. Now, again, I want to emphasize here is this, all right? Once you are able to identify what problems you can solve, it's so easy then to take that problem and bring it along to any company that you see yourself potentially joining and say, hey, you have this problem. From my research, I've seen that you have this problem, and I can solve this problem. I am expert in solving this problem here, and this is how I do it, and I have these skills to do it. Okay, so it's so important for you to be able to differentiate the problem that you are able to solve. Okay, Desmond has a question. Is it from a HR perspective? I don't understand the question, Desmond. Maybe you want to unmute yourself and ask it so that I'm clear or clarify it. Are you there, Desmond? Or are you too shy? Maybe you want to type it in. Because I mean, in order for me to answer that question, or if somebody else maybe understands what Desmond is saying. Ah, okay. Oh, very good. Desmond is on a call with a recruiter. Okay, cannot. All right, so let's leave Desmond alone. Make sure he talks properly to the recruiter. Okay, so anybody else got any questions? Anybody else got any questions?
Yes. Mr. Lim, I
Yes.
just want to ask a question that do you mind working in Juruku now?
Why do you ask that question? I mean, is it you? I thought you were asking yourself that question.
Yeah, asking myself.
So why? So I think this is something you have to ask. You have to answer, right? I mean, I can't answer it for you. Huh?
Yeah, because the thing is, Juruku is very, very far for me. But the thing is, because this pandemic, I cannot find a job. So you like compromise like that.
Okay, so I mean, if you feel that is a good reason for you to take the job, then you answer.
No, it's not. It's not a good reason. You just want the salary only.
Well, wanting a salary is a good reason, right?
Yeah, but right. I think it's very far.
Again, you have to balance. I mean, whether the distance, which one is more important to you, your salary or just having to take a slightly longer time every morning to go to work? Which is more important to you? I think I cannot answer this for you. You have to answer it yourself, Linda.
Okay.
All right. So I think, these are things that you understand. Okay, I saw the reply from, okay, I wanted to clarify if the cost savings and staff retention skills mentioned earlier were coming from HR perspective. Well, if you are going to work in a HR function, Desmond, and you want to work in companies in a HR role, then you can work it from a HR perspective. It all depends on the type of problems you feel you want to be seen as a problem, being able to solve. Okay, Kathy is asking, is problem solving skill too wide? Okay, Kathy, I don't understand what you are saying. You want to clarify that for me?
Hi, Mr. Lim. Yeah.
Hi.
So I'm just wondering, like, if I put down the skill as problem solving, is it like a too wide kind of term to use?
It probably could be because, unless you be very specific, you're talking about your skills, right? You're saying your skills is problem solving. Maybe you want to drill even further. Okay. Can you give example of things that why do you put down problem solving? What is it about problem solving that you feel that you want to illustrate?
So basically it's based on like the experience that built up. Like usually what I've been doing is like solving some system issues, or even like if running a project, we are basically solving the problems of our business users, right? I mean, of course, the other side of the project will be creating something to be more innovative, but most of the projects that I ran was more of like enhancing certain things just to make sure that we solve certain kind of problems. So there will be problem statements.
Okay, good. I think you hit on a few keywords there already. Okay, so from what I hear, one of the skills you have is project management skills. Am I right to say that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have project management skills. So the problems you solve, which I hear what you are saying here, is that you, for example, able to make the project go smoothly, for example, or you are able to coordinate things in a timely manner so that it's completed on time, right? What else is the other one that you mentioned? The other problems, because it's system, and then what else?
Enhancing the current process to be better.
Yeah. So okay. So another problem is could be that you have expertise to fine tune existing processes to make it even more efficient. Okay. So those are already, I can rattle off three problems you solve already based on your project management skills. Then you have to then ask yourself that how do you solve this? So how do you solve the fine tuning the company's processes? How do you do that?
I basically would just drive the projects. Yeah, so we'll plan out and finding like the right activities, the tasks to do, the scope to cover.
Okay, good. So
Yeah.
maybe you can put it down as you will do this by proper scoping, by providing leadership to drive the project to successful end. Maybe you want to add in things like you are able to bring together a team to move in the same direction as what the project is all about. You know? Yeah.
Okay.
You get where I'm coming from, Kathy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. No worries. So I see a follow-up question from Desmond. Then you will help narrow down which job role to utilize those skills. Again, Desmond, I'm not very clear about what the thing is. Okay, so coming back to your previous question, wanted to clarify if the cost savings and staff retention skills mentioned earlier were coming from HR perspective. Again, Desmond, I come back to my earlier reply here is that if you feel that those skills are necessary in a company that you want to work for, that's fine, because that's the problem that you have. Or if you feel that you want to position yourself as a HR person, that's also fine. Okay, so I don't want you to be bogged down by saying, oh, this is coming from a HR perspective, or this is coming from a business owner perspective, or whatever, or marketing perspective. I think you need to look at it and say, okay, given your skill set, okay, what are the skills? How do you use your skill set to solve whatever problems are? Those problems could be HR, it could be business, it could be marketing, it could be skills. I mean, it could be marketing or sales. Okay, so identify the problems out there. It could fall in different business areas, and then you see how you can solve it using, maybe if you're coming from a HR perspective, you have HR skills. Then you say, I'm solving it from a HR perspective. Then you specify that. Okay, Desmond, I hope that sort of helps you become clearer. Yeah. Okay, good. Wow, a lot of discussions there. Very good. I guess because of that, maybe we don't have time to sort of break you up into smaller groups, which maybe some of you will be thankful. Oh, I don't have to talk to people inside the group. Okay, so maybe later in the afternoon we have time. We will do this now. So let me then close the breakout on this. So if this is okay, then let me then move on to the next portion itself. Okay. All right. Okay, so the first part here, we were talking about getting to know ourselves, right? And getting to know ourselves essentially was looking at, what is important to us, what values we have as far as the job and career is concerned, okay? And then the other bit is also trying to understand how we help other people, how we help companies by using our skills and experiences, okay? So, by the way, if you haven't spotted it by now, a lot of the things that I share and present, there are lots of ways to get the same information. Okay, there are lots of ways to get the same information. But my process, typically, I try to simplify it as much as possible. Okay, so but please, so please don't sort of, I mean, those of you who have been with coaches who use a lot more sophisticated ways to get the same thing, I think it's great, but and most of the time, I find when I'm working with my own clients and when I'm working with myself, I want to simplify things so that it's easy to understand. Okay, so I hope you know where I'm coming from. Okay, all right. So now, let me ask you guys, when you're looking for a job, when you're scanning all maybe the classified ads and all that, well, there's no classified as now, right? But you know, the job portals and all those jobs that are in the marketplace. What are the things you look for? What are the things you look for when you're looking at jobs? Can you type into the chat box? What are the things that you look for when you're trying to select a job or when you're scanning the job market or the advertisements in the job? Can you all share with us? Okay, industry, anything else apart from industry? Job title, job role fits you. Okay, very good, Grace. I'm going to talk about that a little. Interest. So fits your interest, good salary, very important, right? Linda, convenient location. Okay, I get you, I get you. Requirement. Okay, scope, industry, salary range, required background. Okay, very good. Anybody else? Anything else? I mean, salary is obviously important, so please don't ignore that. Huh? Location, working day. Okay, how many hours, I presume, right? Especially important for people with children to look after as well, right? So very important. Any others? Any others? JD and KPIs and how it's aligned to problems as well. Very good, WGL. Oh, you're an ideal student, man, WGL. Am I fit for the job? Very good. Job role, location, salary. Future proof. I like that. Company background, culture. Very important. Meaning. Okay, whether the job gives you meaning. Thank you, Sila. Hopefully I pronounced your word correctly. Yeah. Yeah, very good. I think this is the first time I've seen anybody put down this word meaning in their job search. Thank you so much for highlighting this. Okay. Okay, very good points there. So let me sort of maybe group the things that you said. I think a lot of the stuff that you said are really important, especially they're important to you. Okay, but I'm just going to group some the points that you made into general categories, which most people tend to look at. You may have some that's outside these categories. By all means, if it's important to you, by all means put it down. But generally speaking, you know, people look at a job, what potential it has, right? You don't want to go into a job or a career where there's no potential. Either no potential for growth for you personally, right? Or in terms of your salary or in terms of your promotion and all, right? So you want something with potential, okay? The other thing is also nature of work, okay? You want to go into a job or career which, you know, fits the way you work, fits your style, whether it's you know, a job that is very hands-on, whether it's more backroom or whether it's something that is into the front office where you deal with a lot of people, right? So the nature of work, sometimes maybe even the working hours is important. Okay, so that's something that many people look at. The other bit is environment. Some of you mentioned culture. What type of people is in there? Okay, and then environment here also includes location. Okay, whether it's in Jukun or not. Okay, so something to consider, right? Then obviously, I think many of you have this at the back of your mind, although maybe some of you don't mention it, is how much does it pay? How much does it pay? Now, I'm not going to say which one is important, which one should come first, okay? Because it is your choice. It is your priority. For some of you, compensation salary may be priority. Fine. Nobody's going to say you're wrong, okay? You have your own reasons why you say that. For others, it may be because, you know, you find the environment. No, I don't want to work in Jukun. That's important, all right? Distance is important to me, all right? So again, fine, that's your priority. But, you know, knowing what these are is important because then from there you can decide. And later on, okay, I'm going to show you a framework on how you can decide based on all those things that is important to you. Is that all right? Okay. So when you're looking for a job, right, all these things come into play. Then is that enough or not? Is that enough? Is there a missing element here? What do you think? Is there a missing element here? So you're looking at a job or looking at possible jobs. You're looking at potential. You're looking at the nature of work. Okay, Christine put passion. Very good. Anybody else feel that there is a missing link here that we need to have? Passion is very strong. Does it match our values? Very good, Ting Ting. Anything else? Gifts? Does it match our gifts? I presume that's what you mean, right, Ting Ting? Our talent. Is that what? Okay. Yeah. Very good. So that is the missing element that Ting Ting and Christine has mentioned, which highlights, all right, is the fact that it has to match us. It has to match us. Correct or not? So all that exercise, those activities that you just did, all right, to know yourself. The whole purpose here is to know what is good for you, what you are good at, how you can help people. Then go out and look for companies that matches those things. Okay, so it's so important. So when you are going through a job search process, so by all means, please, okay, I know many people, I won't say they take a shortcut, but the first natural tendency is for many of us when we're looking for a new job or a new career, is straight away we go and look at advertisements, okay, and start looking, scouring. Very natural. Many people, I would say 100% of people do this. Okay, what I'm strongly suggesting here is that maybe before you do that, or maybe in concurrently while you're doing that, you go through the process of knowing yourself, precisely the things that we just did. Okay, you go to a coach. That is what he will be going through with you. He won't jump straight into the job market and try and push you to the particular job. He will want to know what you're good at, what you like, what's your working style and all that. Exactly the same thing you're doing now. Exactly the same thing. Okay, so it comes hand in hand. So I want to urge you all to consider, what happens if you just don't know what you're good at or don't know what you like, and then just jump straight into the job market and select any job that you come across? What do you guys think will happen? Will you stay long? Will you stay long in a job? Will you be happy in a job? Possibly you could, but chances are probably not, right? WGL said mismatch. Okay, so if you don't want burnout, I like that as well, all right? If you don't want to have to keep jumping from job to job, right, then why not just take the extra effort to get to know this part about knowing yourself, what drives you, what motivates you, what skills you have to help other people, all right? Once you are clear, okay, Jolene mentioned you don't know the culture of the company until you join them. Very true, but there are ways to find out, right? It may be indirect, but there are ways, or there's even a direct way to find out, which I'm going to share with you later this afternoon. Okay, Jolene? So hold your horses, Jolene. I like the song, Jolene. I don't know whether you're familiar with that song, but anyway, so hold your horses, all right? So I think it's important to also understand what the culture is, and that is something that we will find out later on. Okay, good. Any questions from anyone? Any questions from anyone regarding this portion of the framework, which is current reality? Again, I need to correct the spelling. Current reality. Anybody got any questions? Okay, Ting Ting, you asked besides job. What do you mean besides job? Can you clarify for me? Okay.
Hi,
Yeah.
can I clarify the question? Because for mid-careers like us, for some of us, not all of us, some of them, they are intending to go into startups. And, so we are in the crossroad. For some of us, we are back in workforce, we have a long career gap. So, you know what I mean? Because of our age and the skill set, you want to compete with the young generation, then definitely, you know what I mean? Because right now, if we want to tell talent, we are tell globally, which is much more cheaper than employee in Singapore, especially in tech, because I just complete a fintech program. So I realized that the young people are fantastic. So for us, right, I hope that this session can really help me to gauge whether should I really go into the startup or self-employed, maybe like your case. I really know that, maybe for example, I really know that, career coach is a thing for me, so I will go into that. But of course, not career coach. I mean, just an example.
Understand.
I hope that this session can really help me,
Understand.
Yeah, thank you.
I presume there's probably a couple of others also have the same boat. So let me sort of how should I put it? Let me just pull it out first. Okay. So let me sort of clarify. Okay, what's going to happen today is essentially I'm going to teach you a framework. Okay, maybe to Ting Ting and some others, this framework will get you start thinking about what are the things that you can do, what are the possibilities for you, and then we move down that path. Now, whether it's going to be a startup, whether it's going to be doing your own business, okay, that is very specific in the sense that, okay, let's say, for example, you decide, okay, I want to start my own business, right? Then you have to do follow-on activities like finding out what is it all about in that business. What do I need to do in order to start my own practice? Okay, let me give you my example, maybe just to illustrate, right? Just for everyone's sake. I think we still have a few minutes before.
Yes, that would be good because you have a very good example of you from employee to self-employed in your own business. I hope that we can have a
Okay. All right. I'm not okay. Thank you, Ting Ting. I'm not saying that I would apply, but I think maybe it's a good illustration. Okay. So coming back to this. All right. So like I said earlier on, I went through the meaningful experience exercise, and I found out what the themes involved and all that. Then I started thinking, first step was really looking at my own current job. To what extent can I leverage on the things in my current job to use the thing to be able to do the things I'm passionate about, which was working with people, okay, helping people, guiding people. So that was my first exploration. So I had to look around within my company and say, hey, are there opportunities for me to do this? And to a certain extent, there were, okay, because my last job, I worked for 8 years in that job. And during those 8 years, I basically moved into another unit after 5 years, I moved to another unit to set up a different unit and brought in different people. Okay, so that was good. But then very quickly, I found that, during the course of experience, it still didn't give me what I wanted to use. Okay, then I had to make a hard decision. By that time, I was already 55. Oh, no, sorry, younger than that, 53. Okay, so then I thought to myself, if I look at my own past experiences, the longest I've been in any job or any job was not more than 10 years. Not more than 10 years. Okay, that was the longest, right? So if I were to project myself and say, okay, if I were to leave for another company now, quit, right, and go and work in another place, very strong chance, based on my own track record, I'll probably work until 60, early 60. Okay. Then I thought to myself, if that happens, and I start looking for another job when I'm at early 60s, I was very concerned that, as I think many of you are, will I still be able to get something which either in the same pay or even if I get accepted because of my age, right? All of us have got that concern, right? So at that time, I was in my early, about 53. So I started thinking in those times. So I said, okay, that being a concern, then what are my alternatives? My alternatives could be, okay, then I continue. One alternative is to continue working in my current place. Another alternative is to look for a new job which allows me to do what I want to do, but with the risk that maybe I need to look around again after maybe 60 or 61 or 62, whatever, okay? Or the third alternative, which is what I'm doing now, strike out on my own. So after weighing a lot of to's and fro's and speaking to people, okay, because one of the processes we need to do, which I'll talk about later on this afternoon, is you need to find out. So you need to continue to find out which of those alternatives are good for you by either talking to people or doing your own research. Okay, so that's what I did. I spoke to people in the various areas, the alternatives I was listing just now. And basically, I arrived at the conclusion that maybe it's better for me to start out. Okay, and what do I want to do? Okay, and it just so happens, one of the person I spoke to was a career coach. I started exploring, and this brought me back memories of the time where many years before that, I actually went on a coaching certification course. I stopped for a variety of reasons. I stopped halfway because I didn't collect my hours. Okay, then I stopped. Then I started thinking, hey, is that the path for me? Because I was interested in that anyway. Then after talking to more people and looking at the market and whether my skills were in demand and looking at where I can help people, what is my niche, how I help people, because I cannot appeal to everyone. I have to appeal to only a particular group of people. Is there enough people for me to survive? Okay. After talking and after deciding on this, then I felt that I did. Now that wasn't the end of story, because that was about 6 years ago. Now, during the course of the last 6 years, my business has changed a lot. Okay, so you have to be nimble, no matter what you do, whether it's in your career or whether you're working in your own startup or own business. You have to be nimble, you have to be agile to change with the times. Okay, so when I first started, I was very gung-ho and said, I want to be a pure coach. So I'm just going to focus on coaching people. But in that time, Singapore's environment, many people were not used to the idea of going for coaching, right? I think you all know this, right? You all say, I only go for coaching if I've got something wrong with me, which is fine. That is the environment that we are brought up right now. Okay. So, but, you know, as time goes by, my hope is that more and more people view coaching as a strategic lever rather than a corrective action, which is happening in many countries outside. Okay. I have coaches, I have clients from America, North America, and also in Europe. Okay. Where they view coaching in a very different way. They view coaching as more something to help them be better, not to correct mistakes. Okay, we are at a stage right now, many people view coaching as somewhere to correct mistakes. Whereas if we move towards a stage of where coaching is a lever to be better, which means you can go for coaching even if you've got no issues with work, you're still currently working, you just want to improve, go for coaching. Once you reach that stage, then the market in Singapore is much bigger. Right now, we are not. So what did I do? I had to be nimble, so I modified my business. So apart from coaching, I do training. That's why I embarked on training other people to become coaches, right? Then I also embarked on doing workshops like this, not only for WSG, E2I, but also for companies. Okay, and in that sense, so I have multiple arms to help me move through. But I think the message here is this: we continuously evolve. Whether you are working on your own, whether you are working in a company, we have to always take stock of what we are going through and how we can move ahead, right? And at the same time, match with what we want to do. Okay, I don't know, Ting Ting, if that answers your question, or anybody else got any questions before I break you up for lunch. Is there any other questions?
It's good for time being. If I need help, I will ask you again.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thanks for sharing.
All right. Okay. So, anybody else? Anybody else got any questions? Wow, I just gave my life story, man. Okay. If nothing else, I think we break for an early lunch. Now it's 11:30. Okay. Why don't we come back from lunch at about 12:30? Okay. So 12:30, and then move on to the second half, which is the second part of the create framework, and then the summary, and then the bonus tips at the end. All right. So I see you guys at 12:30. Okay. Same channel. You don't have to log out. All right. See you all then. Hello. Happy Friday afternoon. Everyone back? Can you all hear me? If you are back and can hear me, can you put a thumbs up somewhere in your picture or in the chat box just to know that you are okay, alive and well? All right, we've got activity, like the Star Trek people say, right? who are Star Trek fans here? I don't know whether you're a Star Trek fan here. They're saying that another Star Trek film is coming up soon as well. Thanks, Wendy. Smiley face. Sometimes smiley face. There was this movie that showed a smiley face, which was quite scary, right? Okay. All right. Oh, by the way, I had wonton noodle for lunch. What did you guys have? Can you type into the chat box? What lunch did you have? What did you have for lunch? Well, my England and bad. What did you have for lunch? Water. Alamak, WGL. Don't be too healthy lah. Actually, drink too much water also no good. Economic rice. Wow. What other lunch dishes did y'all have? Let's see. I'm always interested in what people have for lunch. You're too shy to share what you have for lunch, or maybe you are not there. That's why nobody there to type in what you have for lunch. Ayah, so sad. Ayah, lunch only lah. Okay, don't worry, huh? Okay. Whoa, barbecue salmon. Sounds nice. Kway chap. Wow. Oh, you had time to go out and buy. You know, mine was a leftover. Mine leftover from dinner. Chicken rice and coffee. LC Kyong, I hope nobody is around you because chicken rice got after meal flavor. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I guess the rest of you are back, so I'm going to start, okay? Especially for those who are on time, I'm going to start. All right. Good. Okay, thank you so much for staying on for this afternoon. I think this morning, basically, we did a few things, right? We discussed what are the definitions of the terms that we use, especially in terms of self-coaching, All right. Then we talked about what state of mind we need to be in order to be effectively coached ourselves even. Then we kicked off the morning's framework by talking about current reality. Okay, current reality. We talked about what's out there, what's in the world, knowing ourselves. Okay, what's our current reality and how can we reframe it? Okay, so hopefully, you know, if you didn't manage to complete some of the exercises from this morning, I hope that after today's session, you know, you do it yourself. Okay, like I said earlier, right? In order for you to self-coach or even for you to be coached by others, the motivator is yourself. Okay, you have to drive it. Nobody can drive it for you because at the end of the day, it's your life. Okay, now I saw some questions from a couple of people, some direct mail to me regarding motivation and how we inspire ourselves to move ahead. Well, I'm going to talk about that in a little while, actually in the last TE, you see in the screen at the TE portion. Okay, so so hold your horses on that. But I think at the end of the day, I can talk to you in general, okay? But how you take the elements of that to apply to yourselves is something I think is outside the scope of today's workshop. But I think, you know, hopefully you all get the gist of it, and then you know what are the triggers you need to pull in order to overcome some of these challenges. All right, okay, so let's proceed to this afternoon. Okay, so we talked about in the morning current reality. So this afternoon, okay, this afternoon, we're going to talk about alternatives and how we explore the alternatives. Okay, so very important, because you know now we're looking. Remember, we ended up talking about not only ourselves but also what do we look for in the jobs, in the new careers whenever we go out searching, right? So this is related to that part about alternatives. So essentially, as far as alternatives is concerned, how we identify alternatives, how we decide and all, it all comes down from doing these couple of things. Obviously, number one is going out and looking at what's out there and making sure it applies to us, all right? And the other bit is also going out and talking to people, okay? This is what we call networking, okay? So hopefully you all are comfortable in doing that, okay? So let's talk about the first bit here, the job market, okay? Remember we talked about earlier on, you know, going out when we are scanning the market, we need to find a job that suits us, okay? Because we know what skills we have. We talked about how it matches us, okay? So I think the starting point here in this framework is really knowing how we can help people, what are the problem-solving skills and what we like. Then from there, we take that set of requirements, that set of parameters, and we start going out to search, okay? So that is the flow. If you really want to find a good match with the jobs out there, all right, you need to start from that angle, right? It's not the other way. Yeah? I think most people tend to start from looking at advertised job first and then looking at what you can do, okay? And you know, sometimes it's very ad hoc. That procedure is actually very ad hoc, okay? If you do it the other way, which is what I'm suggesting now, where you start looking internally to yourself first, okay? Knowing what you can do, how you help people, and all the things that we discussed this morning, you take that parameters and start going out and searching what is good for you, okay? So this is what I'm talking about. So in terms of searching for jobs, obviously you need to know where to search. You need to know where to search, right? So there are lots of ways to do it, but you know, I want to introduce to you a very systematic way of doing it rather than what most people do, which is ad hoc. That means they just scan the newspapers or they scan the job portal and then from there they try and look, okay, try and identify, right? I'm not saying that's wrong. All I'm saying that is it's still very ad hoc in a sense, and then you're missing out a lot of opportunities, which I'll be talking about later, okay? So here, what I want to do is I want to introduce you to a framework. I think those who've been to my past workshops, you're familiar with this framework. But again, let's go through this, all right? This framework is basically what I call a bucket list, okay? A bucket list. And so what do we mean by a bucket list? Do you all know what a bucket list is? Okay, or maybe you all can tell me what is a bucket list travel country you want to travel to. My bucket list, the place I want to travel to is Iceland. What is your bucket list? Can you type into the chat box? Where is a country you want to travel to that you've always wanted to go to? And if you have the chance, especially now with VTL opening up, Greece. All right, I love Greece. Or I didn't go to all of it. I went parts of it. Anybody else? Israel, very nice. Wendy. Bhutan, Japan. Where else? Anybody else? Any strange and exotic countries? I'm not saying the others are not strange, but something out of the ordinary. I'm always looking for hints and tips, especially when I ask such questions. Anybody else would have any exotic places they can suggest to me? None already. All the others are suffering from lunchtime coma. Oh, Ukraine, oh, please, Wendy. Ting Ting Mas, okay. North Korea, Kok Hui, okay. Okay, good. All right, so that is the concept of bucket list. In other words, you are putting together a list of companies that you want to work for. So you see the direction now. The direction here is that I want you to identify who you want to work for rather than leaving it to chance. Okay, so identify who you want to work for. Okay, so this is the framework that I want to bring you through. Okay, so if you go to your workbook, so on page 10. Okay, page 10, there is a box there which is a slide that I'm going to show you, but at the same time below is the framework that you can fill up. Okay, so I'm going to run through with you the framework, and then perhaps we can go through together. Okay, so as I'm talking, you go to this page and then you start typing it in. Okay, so as I talk, you type it in, for example. All right, and then I think that's more productive for you. All right, okay, so let's do this. This is the bucket list criteria. Sorry, I'm scratching my nose. I think I've got a bit of itchy nose there. Okay, so essentially, let's talk about the first one. Company. What company would you like to work for? All right. So here, my suggestion here is that you identify not more than 10. Usually people identify about a list of 8 companies. Okay. Then the question is, how do you identify these companies? Some of you may already know what companies you want to work for. Okay, so can you all type in, if you know what company you want to work for, can you type into the chat box, what are some of the companies that you would like to work for? There's usually a few usual suspects, but I just want to see which companies do you feel that you want to work for. You can type into the chat box. Let's take a look and see. Google. Okay, Google is always a perennial favorite. Any others? Banking and finance is an industry. Banking and finance. What's the company? Family Service Center, Nestle. Okay, any others? Is that all? The rest of y'all don't have any companies you want to work for? You don't have any, oh, this is a company I really want to work for. Fund management company, any fund management company, I presume, Christine. Okay, I think it's better for you to actually identify the name of the company. Again, Kathy, should be a name of a company, NTUC Income, Apple, okay? All right, so let me run through this with you, okay? Why is it important for you to be able to identify the name of the company? It's no point identifying either industry or maybe a generic company type. You need to go down and drill down to the name itself, okay? As I go along, you'll see why. Okay, so, and this also relates to an earlier question somebody asked me about, how do I know what problems they have or what the culture they are experiencing. So this is the starting point for you to find that out. Okay, this is the starting point for you to find that out. All right, okay. Now, how do we find out? For those of you who are not sure, okay, you have to do some legwork. There's no escaping this. Okay, so you cannot just plug it out of the air. You have to do some legwork. And some ways to find this out, obviously, is that you go to the industry you think you are interested in, scan the industry, look at the trends, look at what's growing, When I say Google, means search, not the company, Google. You search around online and see and read about the industry and all. Talk to your people that you know. Talk to people that you know. Okay, they may give you insights about possible companies that it may be interesting to you because they know you. All right. Then from there, the information that you want to get from a company, again, is really about digging in, okay? Talking about what their profile is and what their insights and what insights you get from there. So this list, okay, can be as much as you want to put in, all right? If you put in too little, you may have difficulty answering the rest of the columns here that we're going to go through, okay? So maybe the first thing you do now, okay, just type into the worksheet an example of a company that you feel that you want to work for. Just type it in, whether it's Apple, NTUC Income. I mean, Kathy, if it's an MNC, you need to specify which MNC, okay, because you got to be more specific about this. All right, so same thing, all right, just put a name of the company now. Then it's easier for us to run through the rest of the columns, okay? So hopefully you have done that by now. Put in a name of the company that you have are keen to work in. All right. So the next step now is this, okay? As you probably guess, okay? You need to ask yourself, why does this company excite you? Okay, so for those people who put in Google or Apple, why does Google, Apple excite you? Can those of you who typed in Google or Apple, can you type into the chat box, why is Apple exciting to you? Why is Google exciting to you? Or even NTUC Income, WGL, why is NTUC Income exciting to you? Okay, you love the products. Anything else? Any other reasons? Come on, you got to start thinking, because these are questions you ask yourself, okay? Right? So why does this company excite you? Is it because of your interest? Like you may be interested in the products, you may be passionate about their culture. Okay, WGL say change from co-op to corporate, so you admire their evolution. I guess that's what you're saying. Okay, so here again, as I'm talking here, I hope you are also typing into that column. All right, what is it about that company you have identified that excites you? Okay. All right, what is it about the company that excites you? Right? It could be, they're doing something that you are passionate about, especially those companies who are into ecology, save the environment, or maybe they are social enterprise. Those sort of things excite you. That's great. Or they're developing products that you like, or they're serving a client segment that you can relate to. So passion, interest, or rather that's the third column. But whether what passion you have, what interest you have. Okay, so we're all done in the second column. Okay, why this company excites me? Okay, so the third one, how does it relate to me? Okay, this is where you start linking back to the earlier this afternoon, this morning. Okay, how in terms of knowing yourself. So in the process of knowing yourself, you've identified things that are important to you. Some call those things called value. It could be other things. All right, so things that are important to you. So how does that company relate to you? Okay, so for example, again, I use the same example: Apple, Google, NTUC. How do those companies relate to you in terms of your values, your skills, your experience? In maybe even the way you want to present yourself, your personal brand. In other words, answer the question, why do I think I can fit in? Okay, so what do you type in to the chat box? Why? How does Apple or Google or NTUC? Sorry, I'm just using these three businesses so actually I can remember. How do those companies relate to you? Okay, how do those companies relate to you? Anyone? The thing I can think about Apple, how does it relate to me? I've seen some people answer the question. It's because they are high tech and I love technology. I love gadgets. Okay. The other one about Google, I've seen people put in and say that Google is on the forefront of new developments on internet, and I'm a geek. So it says put in that one. Okay. Okay, so WGL says rebranding opportunity to appeal to existing and future stakeholders. Okay, so you feel that the co-op rebranding process is something that you are very keen about. Okay, that's good. Okay, so in essence, this column, you just need to answer, why do I think I can fit in? Okay, why do I think I can fit in? Okay, all right. So, done? Okay. Now, let's come to the fourth column, which probably is one of the more important columns that we need to answer pretty clearly. What issues can I solve? What issues can I solve? So remember, you identify yourself as a problem solver, right? So here you got to relate it back to what issues the company is facing, okay? So this is where your research comes in. So coming back to one of the questions one of you asked earlier, how do I know what problems they have? Well, you will have to dig it up and find out, okay? By talking to people, by doing your own research, Okay, so what issues can you solve? I'm going to bring up an old example. Some of you may have heard about this from me. Okay, about this client who came across this news a few years ago that Amazon was coming to Singapore. Now, he was very excited. Okay, so why this company excited him? Essentially because he is an avid online shopper at the time. I don't know whether he's still doing it now. Okay, he knows Apple, the brand name. He likes the notion of working in. To him, it's a very progressive company. Okay, how did it relate to him? Okay, it just so happens at that time he was working in logistics. Okay, he was working in distribution and logistics. Right. So how he could help Amazon? He found out that Amazon was coming to Singapore, opening up a HQ here in Singapore, distribution HQ. So given his background, given his experiences in logistics and distribution, he was able to help solve a lot of their problems. Okay, so that's why he identified them as a prime candidate, prime company for him to join. Okay, so you can see the flow, the process here. All right, so again here, I suggest you all to go through the process. Think about what issues can I solve. Maybe right now you don't know the company well enough to be able to say that, but I think you just put it down first. What are the potential issues? Okay, so again, for example, if you talk about Apple or Google, all right, so maybe a potential problem-solving area you could participate in is maybe the distribution arm, or maybe it's their sales. Maybe you work in retail. You want to set up shop as a retail salesperson. Or maybe it's about marketing. You want to market and help them develop products which are specific for this area. Okay, so and maybe you put how you can solve their problems, and then you put it down first, then later you work backwards to dig deeper into the company and see whether they really have those problems, or maybe in the process of digging you find out more. Okay, all right, let me stop here at this point and ask any questions. Any questions from anyone going through this bucket list? Anybody? Still lunchtime coma?
Can I tell you for?
Yes, Ting Ting. Yes, Ting Ting.
Okay, can I tell you, for example, if we do not have the skill set, we just identify the company first would be better, right? Then from there, we just branch out and follow your steps. That means, yeah, because sometimes we may not have the technical skills, for example, it is Google or Apple. But I believe that every company will have different departments, right? Then from there, we branch out.
Exactly. So you don't really have to stop. For example, if it's Google, let's say it's Google, right? You know it's a high-tech company, right? So don't stop your ambition there by saying, oh, they're operating in high-tech and therefore I don't have high-tech skills. No, as what you rightly put, Google has operations, different operations, right? They have finance, they have HR, they have high tech. They have also many others which maybe you could fit into one of those. Yeah. So yes, I won't say you identify the company first before knowing how you can help them. I think you should do it concurrently. But I think it's better for you to start from knowing yourself first. Okay, because that makes it clearer for you. So in the case of Google, for example, you say, oh, Google, I like Google because, I like the name, I like the culture, I like the benefits. Okay, so you start identifying that, then you start going through the process. How does it relate to me? Then you go through the process. Then you say, how can I help? Then you start examining. You start examining what you can do, right? Because you already know what you can do. Then you start matching to see in which parts of the operation you can help. Okay, is that all right? Yeah.
Can I again, for example, I do not have the skill set, but I realize that there's a sales gap. That means that I'm using their products. I'm a consumer. Then I realized that they didn't really customize to our Singapore local market. This is the sales gap which I identified, but I do not have the existing past experience related to sales. So how do I bridge it to?
So this is a difficulty. I understand where you're coming from, Ting Ting. This is a difficulty because if you look at it from the point of view of the company, when they want to hire people, they want to hire people who can immediately help them. Okay, so if you don't have that skills gap for the moment, then maybe you instead of hinging on that particular problem area, because that problem you can't solve, correct? You can't solve that problem. So right now, at least. So, it comes back again to where your problem solving areas are. So if you cannot solve that problem, even though you spot a gap, right now, maybe, chances are they won't pick you out if you are applying to them because you can't help solve their problem. Okay, so you need to look at it from then which areas can you solve. You got to help them. So you got to start looking at that. I'll give you another example, which is related to Amazon. I think this one, somebody asked me in one of the previous workshops. Okay, so Amazon being a distribution company, then this person in the workshop, I think it was a lady, asked me the question, but I'm in HR, but I want to for Amazon, then how do I do this? Then I just tell them, Amazon coming to Singapore, setting up operations, obviously they need people in HR. Okay, so then you start examining what do they need in terms of HR in order to set up operations here. Then you see how you can help them do that. Okay, so similarly, if let's say Google is a company that you want to work for, then obviously you got to think, okay, so let me then dig deeper. If I really want to work for them, what are the things, what value add can I bring to the table? I like the word that somebody used. What value add can I bring to the table? All right, that is your bridge to them. Okay, if you don't have that bridge, chances are they won't call you up. Okay, Ting Ting? Huh?
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah. Okay, so Eileen, I haven't talked about theme yet. Okay, I'm just stopping there for the moment. Just make sure that everybody is level set first before I move on. Any other questions? Thank you, Ting Ting. That was a good question. Any other questions? Okay, so this is a worthwhile effort for you all to put in, because it is a starting point for you to understand and identify companies that you want to target. Okay, that you want to target. All right, so that is important. So please don't look at this as something that's wasted effort, because it is a very powerful way of getting you to move into areas that you really want to go into instead of leaving it to chance. Okay, let's come to themes. All right, so remember the first column, I said, identify probably 8 to 10, not more than 10 companies. So once you have a list of all those companies then you start looking at what's in common between those companies. They could be working in the same industry. They could be working, they could be developing same products. They could have the same culture. They may be all American MNCs, or they could be all Asian companies, all right? Or they could be servicing, or they are serving a customer segment which is common, like the youths or elderly or children, sort of thing. So why is this important? All right, as far as theme is concerned, is once you identify the themes of those companies that you have selected, next time when you come across another company that looks interesting to you, okay, and then you say, hey, does that fit in with what I really want? That is very quick. It's very easy for you to identify whether that company can fit into your bucket list or not, because you know the themes. Okay, so it's very easy.
What do you mean by personal brand? Is it my own personal brand or the company personal brand?
Personal means yourself.
Okay, what do you mean by my personal brand to the company?
Okay, no, okay, because we all have a personal brand. I don't know what Linda, you attended my personal branding workshop, right?
Can't remember.
Adoy, you're right. Cannot remember. Adoy, 1 year in, give back to teacher already. Okay. Okay, personal branding is what? Personal branding is how you represent yourself to everyone else outside in the labor force or in the marketplace. So personal branding is about, what do you want to be known for? Okay. So in terms of, let's say you are someone who is very is a techie. You like to fiddle with gadgets. You are very good in technology. So maybe that's part of your personal brand. Then that matches with a company like Google, for example, or Apple, because they're all high tech, all gadgety stuff, right? So that matches your personal brand. Okay.
And my value to the company. What is my value?
That means, okay, values are things that are important to you. Okay, remember I said this morning, right? How do you find out what's meaningful for you, what's important for you? It's a meaningful experience exercise. There you identify what's important for you. Okay, right? So this is part of it. Obviously, there are other ways to find value, to determine value. I'm just saying that that's one way to do it. Okay. But again, at the end of the day, it's what's important to you. The value means what's important to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you, Linda. That's a good question. Any other questions? Okay, so at this point, I hope all of you have worked out at least one example of the company through this process. Okay, WGL asks, can theme be a task challenge at hand? Could be, yeah, it could be. Those things that I suggested in the black box there are just examples of common theme categories. Yeah, I mean, if all your companies WGL are along the lines of a task that they need to complete or whatever, yeah, by all means do so. I think what if I remember your earlier comments about rebranding, co-brand, repositioning and all that, if that is your specialty, then yeah, look for companies that are in the process of doing that. Yeah, okay, good. Any other questions? Any other questions? Good energetic discussion after morning, so I mean after the lunchtime, so that's good. So hopefully, you know, this is pushing many of you out of your lunchtime coma. So like I said again, you know, what you get out of this session is what you put in. So those people who are asking a lot of questions, I'm pretty sure they're getting a lot out of it. Okay, all right. So if no other questions, then let me move on to the next element here, which is networking. Okay. Right. First question I want to ask all of you. Okay, we talked about job market already. We know that these are the things that we need to do in order to find out what our opportunities are. So what is the purpose? I already dropped the keyword already. What is the purpose of networking? Can you type into the chat box? What is the purpose of networking? Type into the chat box. What is the purpose of networking? Why do we need to network? What are we trying to achieve for network? Get more info about companies. Good. Any others? Looking for opportunities. I like this. Finding opportunities. Any others? Get referral, Christine. Okay. What other reasons, possible reasons that you want to go for networking? Visibility, market intelligence, research. Does it suit us there? Yep, definitely get different perspective. Excellent. Excellent. I really like all the answers there. Do you know why I like the answers? Okay, because typically, most people's tend to look at networking in a very simple term. They say, I want to network because I need to find job. Okay, so they basically skip a step. So if you see here, okay, sorry, they skip a step here because if you see in this box here, okay, a lot of them, they want to do networking, whether it's online or offline, and they say, I want to do networking, I want to create a network is because I want the things in the red box. Okay, they want jobs, they want, you know, okay. What I'm suggesting here is that instead of jumping straight into the red box is one of the after effects of building a good network, or in this case, what I'm calling a good relationship. Okay, so when you are building relationships, you don't build it for the purpose of those items in the red box. You build it for the purpose of what's happening in the yellow box. Okay, you build a relationship to to create support for what you're trying to do, to get information, to connect out with the person, to get referrals, which many of you have answered that. Okay, so once you create a good relationship, okay, then all those things in the red box will come eventually. Okay, and by focusing on the items in the orange box here, for those of you who feel that you are nervous or you don't like to network, maybe this sort of thing, this focus would alleviate some of those nervousness when you are trying to build relationships. Okay, because many a time, right, people don't like to do networking, don't like to go out and meet new people. It's simply because they feel maybe they are introverts, okay, or they feel that there's too much pressure, they're selling themselves, which many people don't like. I also don't like. Okay, but if you focus on the fact that you are going out there to build relationships, to get to know the person, for the person to get to know you, you find information, okay, that is your focus. Eventually, the other items in the red box will come out. Are we okay with this? So building relationships, focus on the right things first. Networking is building relationships. Focus on the right thing first. Sorry, this is not a networking workshop, okay? But I just want to make sure everybody gets this right. Okay. Now, again, this is a term that my favorite term that all of you who come attend my workshops will see this. Okay. At the end, when you're building relationships, when you're going out and find a job, okay, It is not about you. Not about you. It's about how you can help them. How you can help them here in terms of solving their problems, or how you can help them in terms of building a relationship. Okay, so it's not about you. So sometimes many people tend to lose sight of this fact, especially when you're so eager to go and look for a new job, or you just want to get something. So you're so focused on you, right? I'm not saying it's wrong, right? But I'm saying is that maybe you need to twist that focus around to see how you can help them. Okay, so that is an effort you need to make. 可以吗? Those of you, if it's okay, please either thumbs up or say yes, or say something in the chat box. Okay, so that I know that I'm on the right track with you guys. Because if you have questions, you're not sure, or you want to debate on this, I'm open to talking about it a little bit more. Thank you, Kiss LC. Okay, so I'm guessing the rest of you either heard this all before from my past workshops, or you're still digesting your lunch. Okay, so I'm going to move ahead. Okay, I'm going to move ahead. Okay, so the other bit, okay, related to this notion of building relationships. Okay, building relationships is then how do you do this? Again, I'm not going to repeat the things I've said in my personal branding workshop, but essentially either you reach out or you pull in. That means you go out and meet them, or you attract opportunities. That means you do up your profiles and your LinkedIn and all that, and then you attract attention. Okay, so in this instance, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the process where you go and reach out to people. Okay, so here in this case, I think some of you may know this, informational interviews. Okay, so what is informational interviews? Okay, I'm going to show you a short video that sort of illustrates this purpose. What is informational interview all about? I want you to take a look at it. Then later we can discuss what do you think it is. Okay, let me see.
An informational interview is an amazingly powerful tool. It can help you learn about different types of work you're interested in. And by providing inside perspective, it may even connect you to opportunities you couldn't see from the outside. So let's take a look at what informational interviewing is all about. An informational interview is not a job interview, and it's not a trick you play to get a job. If you're asking for a job and they do have one, then they'll likely start judging whether you're a good fit. And if they don't have one, then that conversation ends there. The key to a successful informational interview is curiosity. With sincere curiosity and good questions about your interviewee's life and experience, you gain insights into their successes and failures, how they got where they are, and what's important to them. Your curiosity will lead to an authentically engaged conversation, which also opens the door for the interviewee to get curious about you. The professional you're speaking with might say something like, "Wow, you're asking some really good questions." And in that transition, informational interviewing becomes even more valuable for someone looking for work. Informational interviews give you an opportunity to see what kinds of work resonate with you and help you determine what communities you would like to be a part of. In a good informational interview, the professional you speak with gets a lot out of the conversation too. They get to discuss their life and their work with someone who's curious about their experience and values their expertise. Plus, they get the pleasure of talking with someone who's genuinely interested in what they do. How do you do it well? Here are 5 tips to get you started. First, do your homework. Take some time to research LinkedIn or other online platforms to learn about the professional you're interviewing. Consider what questions you have about their life and work. The second tip is to try to meet in person. On the phone is okay, but face-to-face is best. 3, always try to buy the coffee or lunch. Your interviewee is giving you their time. Paying is a good way of showing your appreciation and beginning to create a connection. 4, ask your interviewee who else they recommend you talk with. If the interview has gone well, they may be willing to connect you to other professionals you can learn from and who might have opportunities for you. Finally, tip number 5. After the interview, send a thank you. Email is okay, but a handwritten note is even better. And if they asked you to keep them posted on your progress, do so.
Okay. All right. Now, there's lots of things out there about information interviews. Information interviews is not a new technique. Maybe many years ago, they call it something else, but now it's this. Okay, Linda, you say we also give them our time. Okay, fine. All right, if Linda, if you want to put it that way. All right, but essentially the focus is on them. So let's talk about what you saw in the video. Can I ask, type into the chat box, what do you think informational interview is not? Can you all type in the chat box? What do you think informational interview is not? Anyone? Can you type into the chat box? It's not a job interview. Okay. What else? What else? Is it only that? Is it not a job interview? Nobody else? Very quiet class today, yeah? It's not about us. Thank you, Victor. Okay. What else did you see from the video that you got out of the video itself? Okay. So let me bash through the what is it? The lunchtime cloud. Okay, essentially, okay, information interview is, like somebody said here, not a job interview. Okay, which means what? If it is not a job interview, that means you are not there asking for a job. Okay, you are not asking for a job. Okay, so remember this. So at the end of the day, it is not about us. Okay, yeah, right. Victor says that it's not about us. Okay, so during the information interview, we as an interviewer tends to talk lesser because we want the other person to talk more. Okay, so let's turn the table now. So as far as key points are concerned for informational interviews, so essentially what we're trying to do is create awareness with the person that we're talking to. Okay, so the target here is the person that we have identified that may be able to help us in our career. Okay, and this person we identify can be a byproduct of your research when you were doing your bucket list. Remember the bucket list we were talking about earlier? Okay, so when you're creating a bucket list or you're putting together a bucket list, one natural extension is that you will identify key people in there, or you will be talking to people so they can tell you, who are the right people to talk to. So when you tie up, while you conduct an information interview with that person, you want that person to remember you. Okay, you want that person to remember you. Okay, so the other purpose of an information interview is really to get more information, like some of you have mentioned, right? Get more information about what's happening, not only in the company, but also in the industry, maybe, and get answers to questions about what makes them succeed in that job. Okay, questions like that. All right. How do you connect up with that person? Sometimes it's difficult. Okay, especially when you have nothing in common. So the easiest way to connect with someone that you don't know is to find something in common. Now, what could be something in common? Same school, same industry, right? Maybe both of you are used to work in the same company, right? Or you may have someone in common. You have common friends, or you may have both attended a conference or a meeting together. Okay, so as much as possible, try and find something in common to connect. Or maybe another way, which many people have done successfully, is that when you connect up with them, you just tell them, hey, I saw the article that you wrote, or I saw you in the news, I saw a video that you did, and I really liked it, and blah, 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 and all that. Then, yeah, go ahead and connect up with them. Christine asked, food. Is that food is something in common? Could be. If it is related and it is significant enough for that person to meet up with you, by all means, especially if you're going to work in the F&B industry. Okay, so yeah, food could be. So something in common, okay? So the thing here is, don't ask for a job, okay? So you're not there to say, do you have a job for me? That is an immediate turn off, because then, they're going to look at you like, an insurance salesman. Sorry if there are any insurance salesmen here, but the general tendency is that when an insurance salesman say, "Can I meet up with you?" you are expecting them that they will sell something to you. Okay, that's not what you want. Okay, so Ko Hui asked, what if they ask what's in it for me before they want to connect? Okay, remember, all right, when you approach them, okay, I think in the worksheet, in the worksheet that I gave you, let me just pull up that worksheet first. Okay, so if I go down, okay, so all these points I mentioned already, okay, informational interview. Okay, so I have here the preparations. You can look through this. I'm not going to elaborate on this because we don't have the time. So you research the company, the people, and all that. Okay, prepare thoughtful questions. Here, okay, so an example of an informational interview request for through email or whatever. Okay, so here you can find out, you can put things down like, why are you wanting to talk to them? How can you help them and all that. So that's where you could answer the question, what's in it for me, before they come to connect. Okay, so hopefully, Sok Hui, that answers your question. But again, it is about when you connect up with them, the best way to do it is really to find something in common. That is the best way. Okay, if you don't have anything in common, maybe at the beginning you might think there's nothing in common, but if you dig deeper, I'm sure you can find. Okay, all right, don't ask for a job. Right, that's the main thing. Focus on the other person. Right, so you saw in the worksheet that I gave you, there are some preparation questions. Okay, so you can ask, focus on that, ask them certain questions that they will be interested and excited to answer for you. Okay, so the focus is on making sure that person trusts you eventually, so you want to build a relationship. Okay, you want to build a relationship, right? And then obviously, before you go and do or conduct an informational interview, you must prepare. So going through all the listings that I put down in the worksheet, those things can help you. So here again, so like thoughtful questions, you can prepare. Okay, so these are just examples, all right? I'm sure you can think of some more. So what to research in a company, all these are preparations. Okay, then here also you need to know about yourself. How are you going to, who are you, what do you do, basically your pitch, all right? What do you specialize in, or how do you solve problems? What are you trying, what are the learning goals? What are you trying to get out of this informational interview process? Okay, so again, I summarized what I have in the worksheet in basically 3 columns. Okay, firstly, you've already done this morning. Okay, knowing yourself, who you are, what you do, what are the specialties and what motivates you. Okay, what you solve problems, what problems you solve. Okay, how can this interview help you? Okay, this is something that you need to ask yourself first. All right, so in terms of whether I want to get more information, or I want to know more about the company, I want to know more about what makes him successful. Okay, how this interview helps you. So like I said before, something in common is usually the great glue that binds you together. So you got to know your interviewee, then you prepare the questions. Okay, let me pause here. Any questions? Any questions? Or any concerns? Yes, Susie. You raise your hand, Susie? Or is that a mistake? Yes, Susie. Susie's there? Okay, no one is there. Okay, good. So anybody, any questions? Anybody, any questions?
For that kind of interview, it's not that we interview those people who are in the company that we want to go in, right? It can be anybody.
Can. You can be people inside the company. It could be people in a different company but working in the same role that you want to know more information about. Can be also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it all depends on the information that you're trying to gather. So I give you, okay, I give you my personal example again, since I think we're on along this trend. Okay, so many moons ago, I was actually very seriously considering whether I should go into the scuba diving industry. Okay, whether to work for companies who are actually in the scuba diving industry. Okay, so what did I do? I spoke to many different people in that industry. So I spoke to people who are recreational divers, to professional divers, to instructors, to equipment sellers, to retailers, just to find out more information. So I spoke to different people, but all with the end goal of trying to understand what's going on, whether I should go in or not. Okay, so Linda, who you speak to depends on the objective that you want to achieve. That's all. Now, if you want to speak to someone like which I did, I wanted to speak to someone in the target company. All right. So I basically connected up with someone who is perhaps working in a different department. Okay. Then I asked the person and then he gave me some insight. And that discussion was very useful because it gave me an idea of the culture of the company and the different types of people that would work well in the company. Okay. So that's another way. Thanks, Linda, for bringing that up. Anybody else, any questions? Okay, so somebody in the chat box asked, people now busy, I worry they don't have the time. You won't know until you try and ask, right? And if people find it interesting to talk to you, especially if there's something in common, then they will make the time. But I'm not going to lie to you and say that you will always be successful in getting people to come to go for your information interview, because that's in reality that will never happen. Okay, so if you get a rejection, it's fine. You just move on. Or another way is that maybe you say, thank you so much for your time. I understand you are busy. Is there anyone else you think I could touch base with? No, just ask. Okay. In general, how willing are people to attend information interview and how to get them interested? Again, here it depends on what's the bait. Who do you know in common? If you have something in common, then they'll be intrigued. Okay, so that is the strongest. That's why I emphasize on that part here, Paul. Okay, the best way to get anybody to come and see you, to talk to you, is if you have something in common. So the best way to do that is that if you don't have anything in common, which sometimes I feel maybe the reason why we say there's nothing in common is because we don't dig enough. Okay, and if you really want to meet that person, you need to make the effort to dig. Okay, another way to do it is that maybe you will find someone in your LinkedIn profile or whatever that knows him indirectly or directly. So you get your friend, your connection to recommend you. Yeah. No, you don't need to have a connection before you get information interview. Not necessary. I've done this without having a connection. I've done this through either a referral. Somebody suggests that I meet up. I contacted him, maybe not through LinkedIn. Okay. Maybe just through a email drop. Okay. Basically simply say, hey, we know somebody in common, and he suggested I talk to you. That was a very strong pull because we both know the person and we both trust that person. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to have a connection with that person first. The connection may come after, in fact, the information interview.
Unless the person is interested to talk to you, otherwise they will say, for a few seconds they will say, oh, having a meeting going on, cannot talk.
Linda, I understand, that's fine. Like I said, if you are able to attract that person by something in common, very good chance that they will talk to you. Maybe not immediately, but maybe you arrange a future time. But like I said, it's not 100% guaranteed. So if that person definitely feels that he cannot, then move on. Don't get hung up about that person not talking to you. You move on and find somebody else. Yeah. So no, don't get hung up on rejection, basically, because through life we are going to be rejected sometime or other. So we move on and we find alternatives. Huh? Okay, Susie, you are okay? I thought you wanted to ask a question just now. Okay, if not, anybody else got any questions? Good questions, by the way. Good questions. Okay, if not, now is 1:24. Okay, so I think it's time for a break. So let's take a 10-minute break. Okay, 10-minute break, then we come back and do the final part. I think we can finish probably about 3+. Okay, so I see you guys in 10 minutes. All right. Sorry, I was muted just now. I didn't realize that. Okay, everybody's back. Hopefully everybody is still awake after the spa-like music. It's been a long time since I've been to a proper spa. Okay, very good. All right, so we're on the last legs of this workshop. So, thank you again for staying up to this point in time. Now, so far, morning, we talked about creating reality. So this earlier part of this afternoon, we talked about exploring alternatives. Okay, so what is the next one? The next one is the T and E. So what is the T and E? Okay, T and E here is basically tapping energy. Tapping energy. All right. So what do we mean by tapping energy? What do we mean by tapping energy? All right. So here are the things that we're going to talk about. Okay. Which path to pursue? Yeah. What is the next step? How do I know I have been successful? Okay. And where do I get the support from? Okay. So again, related to this support part is the motivation, right? Because they are both related. Once you get the support, you also find that you will also be able to motivate yourself. So, okay, for those of you who are asking questions about that, please, hold your horses until then. All right. So now, before we get to this part, one of the things that we must, one of the byproducts of the earlier session, right, on exploring alternatives. Remember, we went through this where we looked at a company and then we looked at networking. One of the byproducts of this is that you would have come up with a short list of possible jobs or careers. Okay, so that is a key thing you need to have. So once you have a short list of possible jobs and careers, then now you are in a better position to then decide which path to pursue, because now you have A, B, C, D, and E, right? Okay, so now what paths to pursue? Okay, so that is the basic assumption before we go into this particular section itself. Okay, so that you have a short list of possible careers or jobs that you think, hey, those are possibilities, but now I'm just wondering, how do I choose between them? Okay, so I'm going to show you a framework. I didn't develop this myself. Okay, it was developed by a company. All right, I am just borrowing this so that I'm sharing this with you. Okay, so I'm going to put the link in the chat box for everyone. The link is not in the workbook, okay, because I think I want to put it in the chat box. So it's in the chat box now. So can you all go to the chat box and then pull up that link? That is a spreadsheet, basically. It looks like this. Oh, it's too small. Let me just enlarge this. Okay. Maybe I put the PowerPoint first. Okay. So essentially this spreadsheet. Okay, first of all, can I just double check everyone? Have you managed to get the spreadsheet? If you have, type yes or something into the chat box that it's okay. If you have problem, please tell me. If you have problem, please tell me. Okay, Paul says yes. I guess the rest of you says it's okay. Okay, good. So you can see here. All right, so let me enlarge it so that you don't see my face. So you can see here, I'm just going to go through with you an example of how this can be filled up. How this can be filled up. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So if you see here, all right, the instructions are here already. So you don't have to, you can refer to this. This is for you to keep this spreadsheet. So a lot of these fields here are automatically generated. Okay. So you don't have to, up here, these scores are auto-generated. So you don't change the formula here. Okay. The other parts are things that you can change. All right. So for example, here, point A, describe the decision you're considering to evaluate. So this is self D15. So if you're going to maybe as simple as decide which job, right? You just put it down. Okay. Then you skip the green part because this part here, this part here will be auto calculated. Next one here, under career option A, option B, option C, and all that. Okay. Down here, you type in what were your selected or shortlisted careers or jobs. Okay, so maybe here say, career option A could be accounting, could be marketing, could be sales, whatever it is, whatever you found that interests you, you list it down there. Okay. We okay so far? All right, pretty simple, right? If you have problems following me, just type into the chat box or sound out so that I know whether I need to stop or not. Okay. Now, under this part here, B. Okay, so if you look at the instructions here, enter the factors important in this decision. So in other words, all right, coming back to what we did earlier this morning, all right, where as a byproduct of the meaningful experience, or you can determine this other way, but just for reference from the meaningful experiences, you'll find that there are certain things that are important to you. Okay, so for example, you might say that who was it that says, okay, location. Okay, the other one could be money. Okay, the other one could be working hours. Okay, so etc. etc. So you type all this in, right? So try not to have too many. If you have more than this, you can add it in, but then you'll need to sort of fiddle around with the formulas. Okay, but I suggest you work with these few first. All right. So that's B, yeah. Okay, so now here, factors that if you look at the instructions here, rate each of these factors from 0 to 3 in column C, which is this part here. Rank 0, somewhat important. 1, very important, pretty important. 2, very important. 3, most important, must have. Okay, so you put down here whether maybe location, for some of you location may be very important, so it's 3. So here maybe money is also, you can put the same also can, so maybe you want to put 3 or you can put 2 as well. Okay, so let's say I put 3, working hours is 2, and then whatever factor, maybe here is 1. Okay, just for argument's sake. All right, so now the rest of the columns here. Okay, so D is this part here. You've already done this already. D is all the different career options. So E, okay, E is this part here. Okay, score 0 to 3 each option based on the factors in this part here that meets the need. So for example, if under career option A, you'll find that the location is not so good. It's not so good, that means maybe it's 0. So you put 0. If factor money meets the need, okay, so maybe it should be 2, close to ideal. All right, working hours, okay, you can deal with it but it's not ideal. All right, so 1. Okay, and then maybe some others would be again another, okay, let's put down 3 here. Okay, so you can see the score is generated up here. The score is generated up here. So you do the same for all the possible career options that you have. Then at the end of it, there will be scores at the top here. There'll be scores at the top here. Are we okay so far? Are you all following this?
Can I have a question?
Yes.
For the career option, do we have to tie up with the company? You know what I mean? For example, I want to be an accountant.
Yeah, I understand.
Work in Google, or option A, accountant work in Google.
Yeah.
Then career B will be accountant work in Apple.
You can, if those are the choices that you have settled with, you can. Okay.
But then the option C will be sales in any of the company. It
can be company specific, it can be job specific. Again, it's about what you are trying to decide. Okay, so if you are trying to decide between different jobs in the same company, obviously you can put that in. If you are trying to decide the same job but in different companies, then obviously you need to put the company name in there.
Because I realized that if I tie up with the company, right, it will also affect my ranking. Because company will have the locations, you know what I mean? So that's correct. So the ranking here is about what's important to you. So these are the ones that will change. These are the ones. So for example, company A, this one doesn't meet your need, then it's 0. Then company B meets your need very much, then you put a 3. You see? So this one doesn't change because this reflects how important it is to you. These will be, so this will be relating to the company, the option. Yes, you see, the career option A, right? If I did not tie out with the company name, right, at least maybe the location, the changing part will not be so affected, because maybe the career option will be accountant, then sales, then marketing job.
Okay.
Rather than another way I do it will be career option A will be Google as an accountant, then career option B will be Apple as an accountant. You know what I mean? So that's why I think that the rating parts will be different.
No,
so
it will not be. No, it will not be, because you're
Okay.
considering the same thing that's important to you, but in different situations. Okay, so each situation will, how each situation meets your needs will differ. It's not how important each of this is to you. This is relating to how important it is to you. This is relating to how these things are fitting the choices that you have to choose between. Okay, so there are two different things. There are two different things.
Maybe I do in two sets lah. One with company, one with
Yeah, you can do that. So at the end of the day, because the end of the day, this particular spreadsheet is to help you make a decision based on as a neutral way as possible. That means trying to do a score, which I'll show you later on how we interpret the score. Okay, but you know, at the end of the day, you need to be clear. Okay, maybe in your case, Ting Ting, in your case at the top here, all right, maybe you need to specify. All right, your decision here is to evaluate the same role in different companies. Okay, all right. So another spreadsheet maybe is to identify different professions or different careers. Okay, so those are two different things to consider.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's very helpful.
Yeah. All right. Okay, good. So anybody else got any questions? Anybody else got any questions? Okay, so then let me try to go through with you how you can interpret the scores, because I think that's important to consider. Okay, so let's say you take this example. Okay, so you see the scores right at the top, right? This part here. Okay, so all these are the scores here. Okay, and the options, what career should I choose, is a career decision. So accounting, banking, IT, research, whatever is there. So this is the weighting. That means these are the things that are important to you. These are the weighting. All right. Okay, and then these are the scores that you have. Okay, just say this is an example. So now the highest score here is this one, right? This one, which is IT. So naturally you think, wow, I think that is the job for me. Okay, hold your horses. Hold your horses. Let's take a look at the other scores. Let's look at this. Hey, there is another score which is pretty close. This one, accounting. Now, what happens? Okay, remember, this is like, I think what WGL has shared in the chat. This is an exercise that prioritizes or helps you decide which one do you think you can fit in based on what you know now. All right. So in this case, IT seems to have the highest score. Okay, seems to fit what you want. Okay. However, accounting also seems to be quite close because it's only 5 points off. Okay. Whether 5 points or 10 points or 3 points, you have to decide. But if it is close enough and you feel that, hey, maybe I should consider this as well. So this is your starting point. This is not your ending point already. Okay. Now, what is the next step? What is the next step? What do you think? Remember, all these scores here that you put in is based on what you know. It's based on what you know. You can look at the weighting again, but I'm asking you to look at these scores again. These scores are based on what you know about that industry or that profession. This is what you think you know. Okay. Oh, I think I know, the salary really will fit me or whatever, all those things. I think it's going to be very satisfying. It's going to be very interesting. This is what based on what you know. Okay, based on what you know. Okay, so yes, WGL, you have to go and verify all this. Exactly. All right, check with other people, check with other sources if what you know is actually a reflection of the truth or the reality out there. Then once you find that out, you come back here again, and if you need to, you rekey in again based on the new information. Okay, all right. So hopefully y'all get that, huh? So again, okay, somebody asked me about the QR code again. Okay, I'm going to give you the link. All right, the link is in the chat box again. All right, so take a look. So again, I'm going to open it up to everyone so that anybody can see. All right, so once you get this result, I repeat myself again, it is not the end of your decision-making process. All right, please, please, please don't take this as the end. Yay, the score tells me this, I go for this. No, this is a starting point for you to go and find out more, to verify, to counter check all those terms that you guys put in, to confirm. Once you get more information, then you come back again and then you start looking at it again. Questions at this point? Anybody questions? Okay, sounds like everybody is okay. All right. So if the decision-making process, the how to choose, okay, is all right. All right, so you've decided, you shortlisted, oh, okay, I decided to follow one particular job or one particular profession. That's fine. Okay, so now we have to decide, oh, how are we going to get the jobs? What is the next step? Okay, so this is about job search strategies. Okay, this is about job search strategies. All right, now again, we don't have time to go in a lot of detail in this, but I'm just going to give you an overview of the possible job search strategies. All right, and you know, I deal with this on other topics, other workshops, and maybe if you feel you need certain insights, more insights into this, maybe approach the current coach that you're working with. Okay, but essentially there are many different ways to find a job depending on your situation. Okay, so you know, okay, let me clarify what are the ways first before I talk about the situation. Okay, so job search strategies. The first one that most people do, is they go after jobs which are advertised. Okay, they go after jobs which are advertised. These are what? In the papers lah. I don't know if anybody reads papers nowadays. I haven't read a newspaper for the last 10 years already. I haven't bought a newspaper. So online, okay? So anything that's advertised in the public sphere, okay, these are called visible job market. These are opportunities in the visible job market. So most people tend to stop in this because to many people, this is the easiest thing to do. Fair enough. And I'm sure many of you do this as well, right? You scan the opportunities, then you say, oh, there's a job I like, I apply, right? Go on. Now, there is another group of job opportunities that are not advertised. This is called a hidden market. Those of you who have been to my hidden job market workshop last month, you know the percentage, okay? So I'm going to ask everyone here, what do you think is the percentage of jobs that are not advertised, that are hidden? You type in the chat box. What are the percentage of jobs that are not advertised? Anyone? You type in the chat box and hazard a guess. Wendy, 99% not advertised, is it? Okay. 3, 50. Well, quite a big range. One is 99, one is 3%. 50%, Christine. Anybody else? 70%, Kathy, question mark, 75. Okay, very precise, Karen, 75. Okay. All right. Maybe you'll be shocked. Maybe you won't be surprised. Okay. But by all accounts, okay, no matter how you measure it in whichever country you go to, the vast majority of job opportunities are not advertised. It can go up to as high as 80% of the opportunities are not advertised in the public sphere. Okay. Now, what do I mean by not in the public sphere? In other words, either they don't put up the advertisement, they do all internal referrals, or they put it up, they advertise it, but they only advertise it in their own corporate website. So the only way you know that is there is that you have identified the company you want to work for and you're keeping track by going into that company's website regularly to check. Or maybe someone tells you, hey, my company just advertised this, you go. So unless you know the company, unless that company is the one that you go for and you regularly monitor, you will not know. So that's what I mean by not in the public sphere. Okay, so that group of opportunities can go up to as high as 80%, and they are not known to the public, the vast majority of people, unless you do your legwork and go and look for it. Okay, so what happens?
There's another alternative. Maybe you apply for the one of the role, and then they say, oh, this role not suitable to you, but I got another job for you. That one.
So that's hidden. That's the hidden
Yeah.
market. You're right. Okay. Because it's not advertised, right? You don't know unless you go and try. Yeah, you're right, Linda. So how do you then go after? Because if it's not advertised, it's hidden, then how do I go for it? You know, again, I don't have time to go elaborate on details, but essentially the strategies here are this. Okay. You have to build awareness about yourself. Okay, somebody asked me just now earlier about personal branding. Okay. Build your own personal brand, whether it's through social media, LinkedIn or whatever, so that the opportunities come to you. So those are people who are, if you have recruiters looking or headhunters looking to fill a particular position, they scour the internet, they scour LinkedIn, and they find, hey, you know, WGL has got this profile. He seems to be doing things that fit what we are looking for. Let me contact him and see whether he's interested in this opportunity. Okay, build a network. We talked about it already. Okay, what are the benefits of building a network, building relationships? They can be in your de facto recruiters for you. No, they can help you look for jobs. Okay, if you build the right relationships with them. Okay. Participating in relevant events can help, okay, by going there, you know what's going on. Joining professional associations, sometimes the opportunities are advertised within the association itself. Okay, they do the favor for the members, the member companies or the members themselves and say, hey, you know, I'm looking for someone, can you help me? Then if you are a member of the association, yeah, maybe you get privy to that as well. Sometimes you contact the employers directly, okay? Sometimes it works, okay? But better, more powerful is that you establish a relationship or connection either through informational interviews, which we talked about at length just now, right? Or they're part of your network, right? You already know them, they already know you. Okay. Now, this last two parts, not many people want to consider because many people feel that, hey, you know, it's a waste of time. I only want to do full-time job. I don't want to consider anything else. I urge you to reconsider. Why? Volunteering. Okay, volunteering here is a great way to achieve a couple of things. What do you gain from volunteering? Anybody, you type into the chat box. What do you gain from volunteering to work in something? What do you gain? Trust. Anything else that you will gain? Relationship. Anything else? Transferable skills. What else is there? You know, when you volunteer to do something, do things you might want to try. Yes, very good. Okay. You are learning, you are experiencing, you are developing a track record, okay, by volunteering. So volunteering can be a very powerful way of getting your toes into a new area. Volunteering is also a great way for people to know you. I've heard countless cases of people who volunteer and because they did well or they people like them, they eventually get hired to do it permanently, paid. Okay. Yeah. Kok Hui said, Kok Hui said, like volunteer to be a coach. If you're not sure if coaching is for you, yeah, you could do that. Okay. Now the other part is doing part-time to full-time. Now, again, many people think that, oh, I don't want to look for part-time job because my sole aim is to work full-time. So I'm not even going to consider part-time. I urge you to reconsider. Okay. Obviously, you know, part-time may not be your ideal situation, but consider this. If you're going into an area which maybe you don't have the right skills and experience as yet, or not the full set, going part-time may actually help you gain those skills. Yeah. Again, not all companies, you're right. So you have to choose wisely. Yeah, Kok Hui, you're right. Not all companies allow you to do part-time. Okay. But there are companies that allow you to do it. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Ting Ting. Some people work in a temp job and part-time, and then they get converted to full-time. Very true. Okay, Kok Hui, if you think that you are working in a company that currently you're employed now, obviously, you know, if it's against the rules for the company to get you to work part-time, then maybe that's not the route for you. So that's not the strategy you would use. Okay, then you have to use other strategies already. Okay, what I'm saying here is that this is a possible strategy depending on the situation that you are in. Okay, so I think, so these are the things. So now let's talk about the situation that you are in. Okay, what are the best ways to do it? Now, most people, no matter what situation they are, tend to gravitate towards just applying through advertised job because they feel that's the easiest way to go about it. Okay. However, think about it from the point of view of the employer. When they create an advertisement for a job, you know, right? They will get lots and lots of people applying. Okay. So if you are the employer, you receive a lot of applications to the job that you advertise in the job street, for example. How are you going to choose? How are you going to choose? How are you going to choose which one to get? You're going to choose someone who is going to match the requirements that you've listed in the description, the job description, right? Right? So the rough rule of thumb here is that typically employers tend to perhaps will not consider anybody for a job they advertise if they don't fulfill at least 70% of the requirements, 70. Okay. Now, so what happens if you are, let's say, a career switcher, or you are someone who hasn't been working for a long time and you want to come back to the workforce, or someone who maybe is slightly older, okay? Maybe you have the skills, but you know, maybe the company is looking for something else because of age or whatever. It's a real thing, but you know, not many do, but there are some that does, okay? Maybe you are a student or newly graduated person who is applying for this job, but this job is not actually targeted at new graduates. If you are any of those people, your chance of being picked for the interview is very, very slim, because likely you will not fulfill the 70% benchmark. Think about this, okay? If that is the case, then you need to do the legwork to go after the hidden market, There's no shortcut already. Okay, so let that sink in for a while. If you are in any of those categories I just mentioned, okay, a mid-career switcher or even a career switcher, also early career, late career switcher, any career switcher, right? Someone who has not been working for a long time and you are coming back to the workforce, okay, back to work moms, for example, okay. You are someone in the slightly older age group, okay. You are someone who just graduated, may not have the right experiences that the company is looking for. Yeah, that's the reality now. That's the reality now. So yes, you can still try applying for advertised jobs, but just don't be disappointed if you don't get selected for call-ups for interviews. Because like I explained earlier, you know, if you put yourself in a position of someone who is looking for someone, looking to hire, you will not fulfill their criteria, so they are unlikely to call you up. Okay, Eileen, I think regarding your question about long career break options for above 50s, maybe we can discuss it towards the end in the Q&A. Okay, let me run through all of this first, and I think it's a good question, but I want to make sure that I cover all the grounds first before I answer that specific question for you. All right, so these are the various job search strategies that we could use depending on your situation. What is best for you is something you need to sit down and think. Okay, in my situation, should I just focus on cold applying for jobs through advertised job, or is it better for me to maybe go through referrals, build a network, or maybe I can do both concurrently? It's fine, do concurrently, fine. Okay, but just be aware, you know, of what your current situation is, and try and think what is the best way to get about it. Okay. All right. At this point, can I just break and ask anybody any questions regarding this job search strategies? Anything? I'm going to KIV the question from Eileen about the long career break options for above 50s, you know, in a little while. Okay, but any other questions? Okay. It is about 2 o'clock now. Since we started a bit earlier at 12:30, so let's go for our mid-morning break. Mid-afternoon break. 15 minutes, all right? And then we come back and sort of close this particular portion on T and E, tap energy, and then we do the summary, and then I think there are a couple of questions, then we can go through a general Q&A. Okay, all right. Okay, Paul, okay, so Paul got one question. Maybe I'll deal with Paul's question in a little while. Let's go for the break first, and then we come back in a while. All right, I see you guys soon. Okay, it's a Friday afternoon at 2:20. Okay, so I'm sure you got better things to look forward to for today, right? And over the weekend. So let's get this going and then we finish off. Okay, so I've seen a couple of questions here in the chat box. So let me pull this out. Okay, so I think I'll address this first. Can you touch on long career break options for above 50s? Eileen, can you tell me what do you mean by long career break options? Are you saying that can above 50s people take long career breaks? Is that the question you're asking?
Mr. Lim, you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Well, I left the workplace for a long time. Since 2005.
Okay.
And I want to come back to the workplace.
Right.
It's a bit challenging because I'm already in my mid-50s.
Understand?
Yeah. So I have
still young.
I'm still young. I met with quite a bit of hurdles, which is why I'm attending your session.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So I hope you can.
Are looking at how you can come back to the workforce. Am I right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So I think it's okay. Thank you so much, Eileen. I think this is also related in some way to Paul's question. What else can you do other than going after the hidden market, even your career switcher? Okay, let me come back to this thing again here. Okay. Okay, we're specific to Eileen's question on how can you come back after a time away from the workforce. Okay, the best ways to do this is going after the hidden market, because if you go and apply for jobs as what you probably experienced, Eileen, you will not be shortlisted for interviews simply because you've been away, and in their eyes you probably don't have the right experience or skill sets that they are looking for, relevant skill sets, right? So in other words, then you have to go into the hidden market, and there are various ways to do this. Either you start contacting your network, all right, to ask them about, hey, do you know of anything that's out there for me? That's one way, okay? But I think your challenge here is because you've been away since mid-2000, which means it's about 15 years away, all right, or more or less, which means you need to keep up to date, or at least give the perception that you're up to date. So maybe the thing now here, I don't know fully your situation, so I'm going to talk in general terms. So maybe the situation, the thing that you need to do now is to maybe go, first of all, obviously you have to identify what you want to do. Okay, that's the process, right? But secondly, once you identify what you want to do, is really then look at, what do you need to update yourself on? Whether it is skills, whether it's qualifications, whether it is about contacts, okay? Especially if you're going into a sales position, all right? So all these things you need to do, because otherwise, if you go in without these, right, even if your network refers you to the organization with the opportunity, the organization may still be a bit concerned because you may be outdated, you are not updated. So your key challenge, especially if it's 15 years or so, is really to be updated, or at least give the impression that you are updated. Okay, so maybe Eileen, that would be the first thing I would suggest you do, right? Get yourself updated, but obviously before that, you need to determine what you want to do and what you can do. That's the thing. So Eileen, that's yours. So coming to Paul. So Eileen, first of all, is that okay? Does that at least in part answer your question?
Yes, I know what I want to do. I've been updating myself, attending lots of courses. I think I'm ready.
Okay.
And I've got skills to show.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's how to overcome ageism.
Okay. So the thing here now is this, right? There are a couple of ageism comes from two angles. One, obviously, there are companies that obviously I won't say they overtly practice ageism, okay, but they will have some impressions about people who are older, right? And they may have some concerns about that. So typically, the concerns for hiring older people are, number one, now obviously whether they are updated. Number two, whether they are expecting higher salary, right? Number three, whether they are treating this company as a pit stop before going on to something better. Number four, can they adjust to the environment? The environment here, I mean, whether it's a culture like working with younger people and working with younger bosses, especially. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I know where I want to go. I
Yeah.
have been in public administration for the longest time.
Okay.
I left as a manager, but I'm
Right.
I'm not so ambitious now at my age. You know, I want to have a good balance. But do you think the public sector, you know, will consider people, you know, of my age to come back because they favor young officers? You know, yeah,
Eileen,
they do.
I can't answer that for you because I don't know enough about what's happening in the public sector. But you should be talking to people within the public sector to get a better picture of that. Okay, so whether this maybe comes down to information interviews, that thing, the process of information interview, talking to people and saying, you know, what's happening down there, what are the opportunities for someone like you, someone of your background experience. If you have been in public sector before, then chances are you at least have some familiarity with the area. And then maybe going back to your old network of people who you used to work with, is there a way for them to help you with that?
Are you waiting for my reply?
Well, any comments?
I realized that because I left when I was rather young, my bosses have all retired. Yeah, so you know, falling back on my same, you know, my contemporary network, right? Also a bit challenging because they have switched career. Yes.
Okay, but do they know people who might be still inside the public sector?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have to
So
look in that direction. Yes.
Correct. So it's not about people you know directly, but it's also about people they know. Okay?
Yes.
So they can help you with that. So
Thank
give it
you,
a try.
Mr. Lim. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Coming to Paul's question, what else can you do other than going after the hidden market if you're a career switcher? Paul, I'm not sure if I'm interpreting your question correctly, but essentially what I described here in this picture here is that of the total entire jobs out there, one portion is advertised, the other portion is hidden. Okay, so if you are looking for a job, whether you are okay, let's say in the case of career switcher, if you're looking for a job, all right, it's a choice between these two. Okay, so like I was saying, right, in that case, if you're a career switcher, you can still try, right, the visible market, right. However, like I said, the chances are less because you may not have the right skill sets they're looking for, in which case you have to go after the hidden market. Okay, so that's why I'm not sure what you mean when you say what else can you do other than going after the hidden market, Paul. Did I interpret your question correctly, Paul? Okay, Paul's question, okay, let me just flash this up again. Actually, if you can talk, that's easier. Okay, we're reading. Does taking courses in SkillsFuture help since it is for such a short period and employer may think it's insufficient knowledge to employ you? What advice will you give and what are the alternatives? Okay, I want to address a common fallacy here that the more courses you take, the better your chances of getting hired. That's a fallacy, okay? Getting courses, going training fulfills a means to an end. The means here is that you go for upgrading courses to get the skills that are needed in the profession that you're going for, okay? So it's no point blindly going for courses unless you know that those are the skills that's going to help you later on. That's my first point. Okay, now SkillsFuture, some of the courses, especially those that are tied to a company, okay, they are meant to give you exposure to the company. At the same time, that is also meant for the company to assess whether you are a possibility for them or not. Okay, so if that is the case and you are going after those courses, then, you know, I don't see anything that's stopping you, especially if you're a career switcher. And I have come across cases where people have been successful in that. But please don't expect miracles to happen because you still have to put in your legwork. You still have to impress the bosses. All right. You still have to learn and make sure you got the right skills. Okay. Now, career switching, if I go back to the box there, career switching is a very particular area. In fact, I was actually going to mention it towards the end, but I actually developed a course for this. Okay, based on a workshop that I've done. I basically did a course to help people decide and know what's going on in career switching. So I can't really say too much about here because there's no time, because it's actually a lot of things involved. But essentially, career switching basically means your challenge is to make sure you are relevant to the place you want to go to. So how do you be relevant? Obviously, one is skill set, but the other thing is also making sure that your skills are transferable in the new environment. And how do you prove that it's transferable? You have to either show it by volunteering, by part-time, or you are able to communicate that you are able to use those transferable skills in their environment itself. So looking at the exercise we did this morning about what problem-solving skills you have, if you can use that and tweak it in a way that it is transferable to different environments, that will be the best part. Okay, so Paul, I hope at least I've given you some idea. Is that okay? But again, like I said, it's a lot of things involved. And okay, maybe later on when I show you some hits and tips, you can decide whether you want to pursue this or not. Okay, Paul?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And so also maybe you can share with us about the career switching course that you're offering.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Okay,
all right.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. So let's move on, because I'm conscious it's 2:30 already, and I know you all want to go to party on Friday. All right. So the last part here, success indicators basically means how do you know that you've been successful after going through everything? Okay. So here is really about goal setting and action planning. All right. So here you all know this, right? You all know about SMART goals. So I won't go into detail about this. All right. So at the end of the day, SMART goals are designed to give you an idea of what you can do, but put it in a way that you can measure it, and then you can see the indicators of success. Okay, those SMART goals here. All right, but many people have problems developing goals or developing action plans, and many people don't know the relationship between goals and action. So I'm going to give you a little illustration of how the relationship is, so that at least it gives you some ideas. Okay, maybe that's what I can do. Okay, so firstly, okay, dream big. Think about what you want to do in a big picture first. Always start from big, then we go down to small. Okay, define your dream, define what you want to do. Okay, turn your dreams into goals. Okay, some people skip the big part on a dream. They talk about goals, which is fine. Okay, as long as you see the relationship. So turn your dream into goals. So you have maybe many different goals. All right, but what's more important is this: break your goals into steps. Hopefully you see the relationship here now. In order to achieve your goals, you must break them down into smaller steps. Okay, then you take one step at a time. Okay, so that's goal setting. That's making sure you have some action planning relating to your goals. So there are lots of templates out there. So I'm basically just showing you an example here. Okay, where you see maybe at the top some priorities, but here more importantly is this part here. How will you get to your goal? Specify each action. So maybe here you list down what your goals are. Here will be action steps. Okay, when will it occur? Who else should be involved in your plan? Okay, who else meaning who is going to support you, who can help you. Okay, so that's goal setting. That's the template. So very, very important here are things in the yellow box. Timing. When will it occur? Resources needed. Who else, or this part here, these are the resources that you need in order to help you achieve the certain action steps. Okay, and then lastly, which many people unfortunately tend to ignore, is this part. Every time you achieve one step, celebrate it. Go out with your buddies, go out with your family. Okay, very, very important. You must celebrate your achievements. Okay, so are we okay with, are we any questions about this planning and goal setting and action planning? Again, remember what I said, it's about taking action. There's no point thinking about all these things if you don't take action. Okay, any questions on this one? Okay, good. So let's go on to this last bit here. Support. Okay, this part here, I'm going to relate this to some questions I've been getting on the chat box about, who can help you, how can you help yourself and all that. So this section is about that. So the person or the people that are asking this question, right, maybe you want to sort of, this is my part. Okay, so here I'm relating to what you did earlier this morning. Those questions that you answer. Who am I doing this for? Why do I need to succeed? Right? These two questions, who am I doing this for? Why do I need to succeed? Should form the basis of your own motivation. Okay, These are the answers to these questions should be your motivation. Okay, like I said, we are the driver of our own path. Okay, so whatever we do, we need to have a star to tell us, are we in the right direction? How do we get there? Why are we doing this? We put so much effort in all of this, is for a purpose. Okay, what is the purpose? Your purpose is the answers to those questions that you have just asked. Who am I doing this for? Why do I need to succeed? Many a time, okay, the answers may be similar. The answers may be similar to all three questions here. Who am I doing this for? Why do I need to succeed? Where can I look for support? Who can I look for support? And many a time, many people put down as their family, as a source of inspiration, as a source of support. Okay, if you are one of those, if this is your crux, these are the people that you look to drive you along, to motivate you, to be the reason that you're doing all this, then that's great. Which means then this is the group that you should be accountable to as well. Accountable in a positive way, yeah? Accountable in a positive way, which means things like regularly updating them on what's happening. What are you trying to do? So maybe, for example, as a result of this program, this workshop here today, you may have something in mind that you want to do, certain things that some of the activities have generated some ideas for you. Go and tell someone, your family. Then once you tell people, you automatically become accountable, because these people will come back to you and say, hey, what's going on? Since the last time you told me about this, have you done something? So that automatically makes you accountable to them. Okay? So for the people who've asked me the question about motivation, about accountability, have I answered your question, or do you have something else that you want me to expand? Okay, yeah. Then if it is yourself, if the motivation is yourself, then obviously you need to ask, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Okay. It's not about having nobody to be accountable. No, you are accountable still to yourself. Okay. Which means then maybe the question that becomes more critical is, why am I doing this? You have to answer that. I can't answer it for you. Nobody can answer that for you. So you have to answer, why am I doing this? If you're starting a business, why am I starting a business? What is the purpose of starting that business? Okay, some people say, because I want to earn big money. Fine, you want to earn big money, but what happens when the going gets tough? If the money doesn't come in, is that going to stop you from doing that? Okay, so in my personal view is that yes, maybe starting your own business, the opportunity for earning money is bigger, right? But there are difficulties, there are a lot of hurdles to overcome in the first place. And many of these hurdles may not allow you to earn big money initially, especially. Then does that mean that if you don't get it, you are going to give up? Right? So there must be another purpose. So what is that purpose that you have to? That purpose is to allow you to overcome the hurdles, give you resilience. You have to ask that yourself. Nobody else can answer that for you. Okay? Any questions on this part? Any questions on this part? Sorry if I'm talking motherhood statements for maybe you all consider motherhood statements, but I think if you boil down to the key points that I'm trying to explain, and also the relationships between the points, and also how it integrates into what we do, hopefully you get to see that actually it is very significant for our own individual actions. Okay. All right. So once you identify, the three questions, the three answers, and then who is accountable, who you want to be accountable to. The next thing here, which I always advise my clients when you're doing job searching, make it routine. Okay, make it part of your life. Make it part of the daily stuff that you are doing for whatever possible period that you are doing this for. Okay, so how should I put this? There are many of my clients, some of the routines they mention is exactly like what you see in a photo. Okay, they wake up, it's just like they wake up at the same time that they're going to work. right? But instead of going to work, right, maybe they still dress up nicely, maybe not as nice as the work, but then they start working on their job search strategies or their job search activities. Okay, then they devote a certain period of time in the day, maybe in the afternoon, you know, they already plan to meet up with somebody to as part of their networking activities or their relationship building activities, like informational interviews, or maybe they devote part of that time in doing some research on the companies that they're looking for, you know. Obviously, then put it part as your normal routine. Then obviously, other parts of the day, you can do other things that you've always wanted to do because you have the time now. Okay, but the important thing is this: make it a routine. Don't skip. Don't be lazy and say, "Oh no, today I take a break." I tell you, the danger here is if you take a break, say, "Oh, one day I'll just skip this." Chances are the next day you also skip this. Then the next day you also skip this, and sooner or later you're going to fall into a rut where you don't do anything. Okay, that is the biggest danger here. Okay, so my strong suggestion here is that if you're embarking on this journey, make it part of your daily routine. Okay. All right. Okay. Any questions before I go into the summary? I've covered the framework, create framework. Any questions before I go into the summary? Okay, maybe you have more questions later on when I'm summarizing. So let me go through this. All right. Oh. Since this morning, basically, I mentioned that the idea for this workshop, this full day workshop, and then thank you, by the way, for all of those who have stayed on with me. Hopefully by now you see that there is a framework for you to work on. There is a framework for you to work on, and there's also giving you an idea of how you can self-coach, but at the same time give you a flavor of what career coaching is really all about. Okay. Common factor here is that if you want to drive success, career success, you are the driver, you are the engine. Okay, so you cannot depend on other people to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. Right? Self-coaching is all about assessing your inner wisdom. Okay, you have to make sure that you're in a correct state of mind before you embark on making any decisions about changes. Right? Do it in the right frame of mind. Okay. Emotional turmoil or turmoil of any source or origin, try and calm it down. Okay, if you cannot calm it down immediately, take a step back, relax for a while, then come back to it again. Come back to the coaching session again, whether it's self or otherwise. Okay, we touched on this framework. Okay, this is a very simple framework. I'm sure there are other frameworks out there, but this is just something I felt was simple enough to sort of communicate to all of you here. Okay, so essentially, the first one, in terms of current reality, right? We talk about the situation. We make sure that you have the right perspective on the situation, and don't get negative about it. Okay, make sure you know what you are good at. Okay, what's important for you, how you help people, right? And then know what's going on out there in the world of work. And talking about the world of work, this is where you start exploring alternatives. And here I'm talking, we talked about how you can do research by using the bucket list, the company bucket list framework, right? And also we talked about what you can do in terms of networking, and specifically I mentioned informational interviews as a very powerful tool to do that. Then the last bit, which we covered just a few minutes ago, was really the action part. Okay, I won't say that the others are not action now, but this one is what you are really pushing forward more. Okay, so deciding what path to pursue. Okay, I've given you the spreadsheet, so hopefully that won't come in useful for you, right? What's the next step in terms of the job search strategies? Okay, how do you plan your activities, your action plan to reflect the goals that you want to achieve? And from there, look at what indicators of success there are. Have determined, okay, where can you get support? Who are you accountable to, whether it's yourself or to someone else? All right. Okay. Now, I've spoken a lot about all this framework, about all these things that you need to do or suggest to do. Obviously, it's never compulsory, right? Because you come here voluntarily, you want to learn something. At the end of the day, I hope that you take away after this workshop something that you can use. Okay. However, I'm sure many of you or some of you will probably think, alamak, I'm still having a bit of difficulty. So the next couple of slides, I hope will sort of get you feel more comfortable to move ahead, okay? Because the first thing that many people get uncomfortable with, all right, is this notion that there's too many things to do. There's too many things to do. There is a lot of things to do. So rather than be bogged down by the multiple things that you need to do, right? Obviously, one of the things to be maybe a bit more organized, be more organized in your approach, right? But secondly, which like what these kids are doing here, yeah, try and pick the easiest thing that you can pick. Pick the low-hanging fruits. Okay. Yeah. So if you find that there's too many things difficult to do, then do the easy things first. Then from there, you get a feel of it, then the momentum goes. Okay. So that's my first suggestion. The other thing is this. We all have our superpower. Okay. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what is our superpower? All right. What is our superpower? Maybe our superpower is, being able to help people in a particular way, right? I mean, I call it superpower because it makes you feel good. Okay. So maybe in this instance, it's about what capability you have that makes you feel good. What do you do that makes you feel good? Okay. And that can become your motivation, because at the end of the day, if you continue to keep doing things that makes you feel good, it is a very strong motivator. And maybe that's the path that you want to go down. Okay. But, so please don't be disheartened by the things that maybe, sometimes you stumble into roadblocks, there are hurdles to overcome, but, you can do it. We all have done it. So you can do it. Okay. Without action, there's no success. Without action, there's no success. So if you do want to do something, then do it. Commit to it. Focus on it. Okay. You got to make a decision. Nobody else can make the decision for you. If any of you are thinking a coach helps you, will decide for you, no. The coach can help you, but you have to decide. So similarly, when you are self-coaching, you are the decision maker, nobody else. You are the engine. Okay, maybe engine is not the right analogy, maybe it's the driver. Okay, but engine is like something that motivates you, right? So you are the motivator, but you are also the driver because you decide which direction to go. Okay. All right. Whew, I said a lot. Hopefully, over the last 6 hours or so, I didn't waste my breath. Sorry, I didn't waste my breath, and hopefully you're at least have some understanding of the coaching process and how you can use it. Maybe I just want to spend the next 5 minutes or so. If there's questions, just open up to the floor to ask for anyone who wants to ask questions. Again, especially for those whose question I have not answered for today, because I think there are some comments there. I hope I have answered all. But if I have not answered your question, please flash it up now again, so that at least I can try it this time round. Okay, so any questions? You can verbalize it, or you can tap into the chat box.
Can give example for your case, right? What is the drive? What drive you to keep you motivated for 7 years? Initially you transition from one career to another career as an employee. Then after that you transition to be self-employed right now. The inner drive, that kind of motivation that can sustain for so long. Would you like to share?
Okay. Firstly is seeing how my clients have benefited from my attempts to help them. Okay, so direct feedback from clients has been my strong motivator. Working with people like you, okay, who have given me very positive feedback. Even after the event, people write to me and say, attending my workshops have helped, whether in small way or whatever, has been my motivator as well. Okay, so I mean, if I want to put it in a nutshell, it's basically the feedback from the people I've worked with. That has been my motivator. That is the big one. The other motivator is really more about the nature of the work that I'm able to do. I'm able to do things that I enjoy. Okay, so things like interacting with people, I enjoy the process of conducting workshops like this, even though, I mean, maybe you guys might be surprised. I'm actually an introvert. Now, the definition of introvert here means that, you know, it doesn't mean that I don't like people. It basically means that after sessions like this, yes, I get drained. So I need a night to recover. So you guys don't expect me to respond to your your request at night after work, because I'll be trying to recover then. Okay. So then the other thing that motivates me is also about how I have time. I have flexi time to do the things I need to do, especially at this stage of my life. Okay, so I don't have siblings. Okay, so I'm basically someone who has to look after my mom, parent. So in a sense, I'm like a caretaker for her as well. So having this flexi time is also very good for me as well. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. Is it Ting Ting who asked me that? But you know, hopefully that answers your question.
Because I looking something for myself, because I see people, they have that kind of motivation. Can, for your case, right, you can drive 7 years, the sustainability, you know, that kind of, you know, I understand what you mean. You want us to ask our question, the 3 questions, that part, to find our meaning and purpose, right? But you know, the sustainability for long term, you know what I mean?
I know where you're coming from. It's something that you have to decide, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, you have to think about what is the thing that's going to push you along the difficulties. Okay, for me, the thing that's pushing me along is the fact that I get a lot of people telling me that it's been worthwhile. Okay, that's the thing that keeps pushing me along. Yeah. Honestly, what I'm doing now in terms of salary is actually much lower than what I've been getting before, but it's okay because I reached a stage where maybe that's not the amongst top priority for me. So yeah, so thinking that's what's been pushing me along. That's the thing. You know? Before I forget, I think WGL is asking me for a picture of the slide. The slide before path to pursue. Let me just see what this one is the path to pursue. In the meantime, anybody got any questions? Feel free to ask. Let me just see whether that is there. Anybody got any other questions? Okay. Is it this one? WGL? No? Yes, no, maybe? Oh, okay. All right. So show on the big screen. All right. Okay. Okay. I know you want to do a screenshot. Okay. But in the meantime, okay, Christine, you want to ask a question? By all means, Christine, don't worry. Your question, you ask. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
How do we navigate to understand clearly? Because like you shared that you actually initially want to go to the scuba diving business. Then you actually realize that coaching is more to your preference or interest. So how do we actually measure that? Because I think it's going to take a long time for us to actually understand our interest and navigate, because we can be good in this and that as well. But then how do we measure besides talking to people? Because it still definitely come to ourselves that we have to internalize this. So that's where I think I'm trying to understand, because pursuing something on your own or self-employed is long journey, and also it's going to be costly for everyone as well. So that's where I'm trying to find my clarity actually.
Okay, understand, Christine. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, basically what has been happening here, maybe if I come back to the analogy about like you mentioned, the scuba diving industry and all that. Okay, that one was actually quite a long time ago, right? So the decision for me to not go into that area was because after speaking to many people, I know what's good and what's not so good and all. And I realized that maybe the runway to achieving a career success is not as long as I was hoping for it to be, because the market is very small in Singapore. But at the same time, also because I was an active diver at that time, and I felt that I didn't want to mix business with pleasure. Okay, so that's why I decided, okay, I will still pursue diving, but I won't do that as a job. Right, so that's my decision. Now coming back to the other question, part of the question you had was whether the decision to go and start my own business. That is very specific to to individuals. I don't think okay, I mean, maybe you can relate to what I've gone through, but at the same time, I don't think you should use mine as a template because everybody has different reasons, okay? But basically, the reason why I decided to do what I'm doing now is like what I mentioned earlier, right? It's basically the fact that I know that if I were to go into another job as an employee, you know, there is a high risk, a chance that, you know, by my early 60s, I would have to change, okay? And I was concerned at that time about whether I could do it effectively, you know. So that was running in my background, okay? Secondly, you know, if I examine all my possible career options, not many of them allowed me the things that I'm doing now in terms of my flexibility in time, in terms of the nature of the people that I work with, in terms of the variety of activities that I work in this particular area, which is what I'm doing now. Okay, so those things have allowed me to sort of push ahead, and obviously, you know, there's ups and downs in this career, in this business, but you know, like I said, I think coming back to the question from Ding Ding, what is the thing that's been helping me push ahead and overcome and be so-called resilient in that sense is the same things that I just mentioned just now. Okay, so Christine, I hope I answered that question for you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, right. Any other questions? I've still got a few more slides, but okay, yes, who is it?
Yes, this is Paul.
Hi,
Okay,
Paul.
following up, thanks so much for your insightful sharing and all that. Based on it, I just wanted to know, like, based on your experience, you know, doing your own business and all that, I'm actually also thinking about it as well, but I'm just wondering, does doing your own business, is it sustainable in terms of like health benefits and pensions, i.e. there's no health insurance, no CPF, no benefits? So if you don't, and especially I don't have a lot of CPF, so how do you manage and all that? Is that sustainable?
You have to do your own planning. All right. You have to do your own financial planning, because it sounds to me like it's more financial concerns here. So this is where you have to do it yourself. But I think, you know, if you're talking about insurance coverage and all that, there's private insurance coverage. Right? You don't have to depend on a company to do that for you. All right. Which is what I've done. I do my own insurance coverage. CPF. Okay. Obviously, there are plus and minus, right? CPF, okay, the company gives to you, you don't have to do anything, but at the same time, they deduct it off your salary. Right now, I don't need to give CPF. The only CPF I give is the MediSave, but I don't get any deductions from the fees I collect from people. So, you know, net, it still seems worthwhile. Okay, so the financial planning part is something that you need to look at.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah.
Then following up on Christine's question, right, I think is, you know, we're also trying to explore and what's good for us and all that. So maybe like, is there like free online tools that help us determine what kind of jobs is a good match for me? And do you recommend anything? All right.
So there are many assessment tools available, but I think maybe the one that you're referring to is one that is available to everyone if you're Singapore or PR, is at the My Skills Future website. Okay. Under the My Skills Future website, there is there's a section on assessment. Okay. Actually, let me see if I can pull this out. Let me just try this. Where's the okay. All right. So hang on. Let me just look this. Okay. Okay, My Skills Future. So let me pull this down. All right. So let me show this on the screen here. All right, so if you all can see this, pull it bigger. So if you all can see this here, under resources, all right? So you go to My Skills Future, this website here is the normal homepage. You go to resources, you see assessments, okay? So under assessment, you click on that. It comes to this page, the first step in learning to understand yourself. So you click on this one, then you see all this, careers, interests, skills, confidence, work values. So these are assessments, tools that can help you take a look at what type of careers or jobs that suits your profile. Okay, so give it a try. I don't know if any of you have tried that. Paul, did you try this before?
Yes, I did already.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering if there's anything else that is because you also need to like match that to the kind of career, because that one is just give you that kind of strengths, but not.
No. There is something inside under careers interest. If you continue the next step after you get the 3-letter code, there is another step that that sort of allows you to generate possible job matches or career matches.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah. Now,
it was a little bit off because, like, for example,
yes.
after I asked for the recommendation and then it says I should become a police officer.
Correct. So
which
the thing
is
here,
too late now.
no, I know where you're coming from, because
Yeah.
you're not the only one that gets very strange recommendation. What I'm asking you here to consider here is this: don't look at the job title, look at the nature of the job. So those of you who have gone to the stage that Paul has done, and you get the same result and say, hey, how come they generate some strange job matching for me, right? Again, this is something I train my coaches to do, is that when you're working with your clients in this particular aspect, is that don't focus on the job titles that's generated for you. Look at what is the nature of the job, because if you did your assessments in the way that you should be doing, all right, then it should be a pretty close match to what you want to do in terms of your interest, which means then some aspects of that job matches your interest level, right? Then focus on the nature of the job, and then you see if those activities, the nature of the job is found somewhere else, right? This is what actually, maybe it's difficult for me to explain now, but in essence, that's what we as coaches do when we come with job seekers getting that sort of result. You don't agree with the job matching, but so we tend to work towards to say, okay, let's not look at the job title. Let's look at the nature of the jobs that's selected for you. Do you agree that, for example, if it's police officer, do you agree that maybe in a police officer, it is something about investigating, it is something about dealing with people that appeals to you? Then if you say, yes, yeah, I like that part, but I don't like the job title, right? Or maybe like you said, it's too late because you are mid-career. Then let's use those job description, use those activities that you feel that you like. Where other jobs can it apply to? Then you start looking around. Okay, so I mean that is the process that coaches will go through with the clients.
Okay, thank you. That was very helpful.
Okay, good. All right. Any other questions? Thank you for the questions. By the way, I think they're very good. Any other questions before I round off? I think I got about 3 or 4 more slides. Okay. If not, then maybe I would sort of do the closing for now. All right. So, okay. So I think, I would hazard a guess that all of you are not coaches. So therefore, maybe you would still need some help in terms of going through what you are going through. So again, here, you've come to the right place in terms of WSG, because, they have quite a good program. So please do contact them. Okay. Please do contact them regards to how they can help you, because like they have this new profile now they call Career Grid. Okay, so please do that. All right. At the same time, also, I invite you to connect up with me. Okay, so these are my that's my LinkedIn profile, and also I have my Facebook page up there that you can see, where I basically time to time update activities as well as topics of interest for people who are looking to career management. Okay, so please, by all means, connect up with me on there, or be a member of the Facebook group, so that you are caught up, you're up to date on that. So then I think the other bit probably I want to round off is also telling you about some future sessions I would have. These are sessions that are for WSG only. Okay, later on I'm going to share with you my plans moving forward as well. But so these are the next few sessions: 22nd April, 26th May, 23rd June. So it's the usual WSG process of going into applying for slots in this area. Okay, so but in the meantime, if you can give WSG your feedback for today's session, that will be most helpful. So the QR code is there. So for those of you who want to have the URL link, let me just paste that URL link into the chat box again. By the way, if any of you still have got questions, feel free to ask. Okay, let me paste the thing into the chat box. Okay, so this is the link in the chat box for the WSG feedback form. So appreciate if you can help them fill this up as well. So yeah, so that's the next activity. All right. So the following 2 slides, is it 2? Let me just check. Okay, 3 slides are basically my suggestions for what you can do, okay, after today's session, right? So so I presume all of you have scanned this code in already. Okay, so if not, then if you are, then the next one I want to sort of let you all know, all right? Because like I was saying, okay, most of you primarily contact me through WSG events and workshops and all, which is fine, okay? But I've also come across a lot of people who want to work with me after each workshop. And because I'm an OMO, I have difficulty fulfilling everybody's request. So what I'm planning to do is actually embark on certain other activities which would complement whatever WSG is doing as part of reaching out to help people, all right? So if you are able to do so, can you help me fill up this survey? Because this survey here is basically for me to understand what other topics you would be interested in knowing, okay? And then once I have your topics, then I can sort of collate these and then try and do activities or workshops centered around this. Okay, but very important here, I need you to do is you have to click on this box here when you go into this survey, because this box will give me permission to email you the information. Okay, now if you're concerned about being spammed, don't worry, I won't spam you. In fact, I think the past few workshops for people who have done this for me, I don't think I have actually my shortfall is that I've been actually reticent in sending updates because this month has been so busy for me. But hopefully next month will be better. Okay, so click on this portion so that I get permission to send it to you. But then just let me know what topics you want me to cover. Now, you may also ask about this particular workshop. Okay, now you will know that I have recorded this, but I'm not sure whether I am able, because it's going to be about 6 to 7 hours. So I'm not sure if I'm able to actually transfer the recording to you guys to see. So I'm thinking, I'm not confirming, I'm thinking of actually cutting this bit into smaller bite-sized portions. So if you are interested in getting access to these smaller bite-sized options, just be part of this group, okay? Then I will send you notice on this, okay? So this link is also in the chat box as well. Then the other part, which I think, I can't remember who was it that asked me about, was this e-course, okay, about career switching. Okay, I did this just after Chinese New Year. Sorry, I don't know whether you all can hear the alarm bell. I think my place, they are having alarm, something testing or whatever. So hopefully this doesn't bother you. So I've done this since February, where I opened up to a group of people who were brave enough to come in on an early bird basis. Then after that, there's been many people who are following up to me asking to continue with the early bird, but I think I can't do that because I think at the end of the day, I need to be fair to the early bird. So, but I'm still trying to give my workshop participants some favorable treatment, preferential treatment. So only for my workshop participants, this is a thing that I'm going to offer. Okay, so again, you know, only if you are interested. It doesn't matter if you are not. Okay, I'm totally fine with this. It's just that it's just another way for you to sort of maybe take part in some of the things I'm trying to reach out to. And the link for that is also in the chat box as well. Okay, so like you see there, you know, if you're not happy within 30 days, you can always get a refund. Not an issue yet. All right. So what else is there for me to say and do? I think, yeah, that's about it. All right, so thank you so much, everyone, for staying for the last 6 hours or so for this particular topic. I hope you got something out of it, okay? And I really enjoyed the questions and the interaction with all of you. But you know, at the end of the day, like I said, you know, this is a process where you become your own prime motivator. You need to go and actually do something, right? Don't you know, fall into a trap of after today's session you just go back to normal and just do your normal stuff. Okay, you came here for a purpose, so hopefully you didn't waste the 6 hours and then go back to normal again. Okay, do something that fulfills your purpose. Okay. If there's nothing else, thank you so much. I would officially call this to an end, this workshop. Okay. Unless there's anything else you guys want to ask.
Mr. Lee,
Yes, Paul.
just now going back to your initial comments also, just wondering, like, how do we know if career coaching is right for me? Yeah.
How do we, okay, can you repeat that question again, Paul?
Like, how do I know if career coaching is right for me? Like in the beginning, you mentioned
Right, for you in terms
interest
of
in career coaching.
okay, so in terms of a job, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I get asked by a lot of people about this question. I think the first thing that I want to put on the table is this. Career coaching, okay, is not about earning big bucks. So if you want to go into this thinking that it's going to give you big bucks, then you're in the wrong place. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to get out of the way. Secondly, I want to get out of the way is the perception that it's easy to do because all you do is talk. Let me tell you, it is one of the hardest things to do because you don't always talk because you sometimes have to listen. In fact, most of the time you have to listen and question. Okay, so one aspect that many people don't expect here is that it is actually a very stressful job. Okay, if you are a career coach, especially where you have job seekers who are very emotional, they come to you, they lay burdens on you, they pour out on you. If you're not able to manage that, you get stressed very, very easily. Okay, so you need to find a way to manage that stress. So I think the best way is really for you or anyone who's interested in this is really to talk in depth to other career coaches, whether it's within WSG, E2I, or private practitioners, and get an idea of what they go through. Okay, conduct an informational interview, get an idea of what they go through. All right, and then from there you get a sense of whether it is right for you or not. Paul, does that help you?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, maybe I can try to conduct an information interview with you.
By all means, let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Anybody else? Any questions or any comments that you want to make? Thank you so much for the comments in the chat box. Really appreciate that.
Mr. Lim,
Yes.
just
Yes,
want to
Ali.
know your course.
Ah.
How long is your course?
Which one? The coaching course?
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
Because
I do.
well, you say
Go ahead.
enroll in the course, right?
Oh no, this one you're talking about the one here, is it? This one
Right
here?
at the bottom, yeah.
Okay, that is an
Yeah.
online course. So it's your own time. It's your own time.
Oh, own time, own target.
Yeah, correct.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
got
so
it.
I do videos and then basically you go in and just take your own time.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any assessment in this course?
No assessment. I do it Singaporean. I'll talk about assessment already. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Now during hybrid, a lot of people still 50% work from home, no? So everything is done in Zoom, no? So is it difficult to do all the things in Zoom?
No, I've been doing everything in Zoom.
Because we have not been, because during pandemic we have not been working, so have not experienced doing everything in Zoom.
Well, I mean, it's been 2 years, so it is possible. In fact, most of us have been doing almost everything in Zoom. So it is possible. You just need to try it out. Yeah.
That means
go ahead. Yeah.
That means we do all the presentation, all the spreadsheet. Then after that, send over, is it?
Well, depend. Who are you sending over to?
To our bosses, of course.
Well, I mean, if your boss is asking you to do that, then obviously you have to do that, right? So you have to get used to it because this is a new way of working already. If you still have trouble adapting to this new way of working, then you need to get on board because that is what's happening now. And it's likely going to continue for I won't say forever, but I think it's going to be part of the way of life. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a reality now. It's the new reality, whether we like it or not. Okay. Good.
And I noticed that a lot of people are quite stressed, during this timing. They are going on sabbatical leave.
Yeah. Well, there are lots of reasons for being stressed. Okay, sometimes people working from home is already stressed. Correct or not? Right? Some people enjoy working from home. Some people find working from home is very stressful because the whole family is there. They can't concentrate. Right? So different people have different sources of stress. So I can't generalize this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, you all can go already. Don't worry. No need to hang around. I'm just hanging around just in case anybody wants to ask questions. Okay, Kathy is someone just wondering what's the first step to kickstart the journey as a coach. Well, Kathy, I think the first thing here is that you probably need to talk to people who are career coaches now, all right? And then just ask them what's happening, what do they do to give you an understanding of what career coaching is all about. Then from there, they will be able to advise you what your next step is. Okay, so that will be one of the questions you could ask them in the information interview. If I want to become a career coach, what do you think I should do? What's my next step? Right? Because different people have different perspectives. So Kathy, please, practice what I've been preaching. Go and do an informational interview. Okay.
Mr. Lim, is it possible maybe you can share with us, like, because now you're a career coach, right? So will I share your experiences, and also just now you mentioned your is the salary, the income is not that, not so rewarding, but also have challenges like negative people. So how do you cope? Because I'm very curious, because I see people like you and like Elon Musk, you all have that kind of drive, to push you to this level, which I really hope that I have something, that kind of fire to keep me going. No, you see, Elon Musk, he can eat peanuts, butter bread to fulfill his dream, and you also. So we like to share, so to give us a perspective. I do not know whether will I be a career coach in future, but will I be Elon Musk? I do not know. It's just that I really need to find that kind of drive to keep me going, because all of us are human beings. We only live once in a lifetime. If we really can contribute to make a difference and we have no regrets, isn't it better? It's very also rewarding to contribute our gift and talents, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, first thing, thank you so much for associating me with Elon Musk. I don't think I'm at that level as well, but thank you so much. Secondly,
the ability you have, you know what I mean? You have transitioned from one career as an employee from job A to job B successfully. Then you become a self-employed and can sustain for 7 years. It's amazing, you know what I mean? This is something which I really need from you.
I'm not alone in this. I think, again, I'm not alone in this. I know a couple of people personally who have done the same thing as me as well. So, but I think we all find a way, definitely. But I think coming back to your question, I mean, I think you were the person who asked me about the resilience, the overcoming the barriers. And I think I spent a bit of time talking about that. Okay. Basically, at the end of the day, I look at what motivates me. So it's the people that I work with, the people that I work I won't say work for, but people I work with, so the clients and all that. But at the same time, I also find that this job gives me the lifestyle that I value, I trust, because of my stage in life. Okay, so yes, now I'm fortunate that I have got enough resources to sort of make up for the shortfall in terms of my compensation. All right, so again, I don't think everybody has that, but I'm fortunate enough to have that. So it's a very, I won't say personal, but I think it's a situation that I am in, which may be very different from someone else, maybe different from you. So I think you have to work out your own template. Whoever is thinking of this, have to work out your own template to think whether it is going to do your own job, whether it's going to do your own business is the next step that you want to do. Because you have people who have started out doing their own business and hasn't done well, and therefore they go back to the workforce. It's not a sense of failure. It's not failure that you have to do that, no, because there could be a lot of reasons why. Okay, so for those of you who have that fear, or for those of you who are thinking that there is that risk, no, it's not that you have failed. It is more that I think it's better that you have tried and you know what it's all about, rather than thinking about it and not trying and wondering what's going to happen. Okay, so that's my personal view. I'm not saying that now thinking you better drop everything and go and start your own business. No, I'm not saying that. But you have to take a calculated risk, and you have to think about what's the implication, the impact on you. So it is all about sitting down and thinking through the process. Okay, nobody can tell you that is the right move for you. You have to do it yourself. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Everything's over. If all of you want to go off, you can go off.
Hi, Mr. Lim. Yeah,
Joanne.
I just want to check. Do you ever get demotivated before when you start your job? I mean, your job as a career coach, and how do you overcome it?
Okay. Let me think. Yeah, I guess there has been a few instances where I feel that it is a tough process. Okay. And these feelings were more or less related to maybe wondering how I can help the client, or at the same time maybe wondering, I think like previously when I first started, I was wondering where the next dollar was going to come from and all that. Okay, so those were the things that sort of gave me some trepidation. And I guess the way I got around it was, number one, obviously, is to think of the end goal, what I want to do. But at the same time, I also felt that I needed to be nimble. So I needed to sort of tweak, change my approach, change the way I do things so that I can become more effective, not only with the people I'm helping, but also with the business itself. Now, again, that process of tweaking and refining is very specific to your situation. So I can't say that what I went through is applicable for everyone. Okay, so but I think the mindset can be applied. It's the fact that, all right, if it's not working, change and adapt and move forward. Okay. I mean, if you have to look back, you look back to learn from your mistakes, but you move forward. Because there's no point looking back and keep wondering what's happening. Right? Move forward. That's my philosophy. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Joanne. Okay. Any others? Okay, if not, I guess I'm gonna close today's session. Thank you again so much for those of you who have stayed on here. There's still about 30 plus people here. Okay, so thank you so much for staying on. Unless that you've got any more questions, then I will just close this. I'll leave a slide up in case anybody still wants to do the QR code. In the chat box is still there as well. But I'll leave the slide up and the session open for the next 5 minutes, and then but I won't be here. Or rather, if you want to talk, I can still be here. But yeah. Anyway, all right. So I see you guys. All right. Take